Hi, this is Roger Moore, and you're listening to James Bond Radio.
Hello, and welcome to James Bond Radio. This is episode 211. 211. Where today we'll be discussing the... Let me start again. Okay. Hello, everyone, and welcome to James Bond Radio. This is episode 211, where today we're going to be chatting about The Car Chasers of Bond, Part 2. My name's Chris Wright, and with me is my brother from another mother, Mr. Tom Sears. How are you, buddy?
With you indeed, my man. With you indeed. Yeah, dude. Excited to conclude our car chase shenanigans from last week. We had a little bit of an audio issue last week, didn't we? Which meant whenever you and I spoke, we had loads of echoes and stuff like that and craziness, and we've solved it for this week, so we're all right. We were a little bit quiet last week, weren't we? We just let Ross go for it and dish out all his research. This week, bit more back and forth. So yeah, I think little apologies just to everyone for last week's one. It is all sorted for this one, but it's just one of those little glitches that happen. But absolutely,
all good
from time to time. But we're all firing on all cylinders for this week. Now, dude, this is our last week before the big deal, isn't it? The big deal that's been taking forever to arrive, and it's finally here, man. As Blofeld says, how are you feeling this week, bro?
Well, I might have said this last week, but I'm really allowing myself to get excited now. Like, it's not far away. Obviously, when this is out, it's just around the corner. Yeah. And you know what? Everyone is obviously keen. Everyone's excited, and there's so many messages flying back and forth about, when we're gonna see it, what screening we're gonna watch, how many of us, where we're gonna go beforehand, where we're gonna go afterwards. Yeah. Just we've got to soak up the atmosphere
big time.
And for someone that's kind of going dark into it, aside from a couple of minor things, from people that I've seen or spoken to who haven't given spoilers away, but just given their thoughts, I have to say it's overwhelmingly positive from everyone that I've spoken to. Now, I don't know if that's setting the film up for a fall. I don't think it will be. But, generally, there'll be some people who aren't sure. Or is it just a case that any Bond film is going to excite everyone to the point where they think it's going to be amazing? It's a tricky
it
one,
is.
Matt. What do you think?
Like I say, I've tried to just scrub my mind of it. I've got some key scenes from the trailer that have stuck with me, obviously, in a few bits and pieces. I think it's going to be a good one. I do. Yeah. I feel like it's going to be the right bow to tie up Daniel's run. Yeah. I feel like that's what we're going to get. I feel like it's going to be is not. I don't think it's going to be a run of the mill Bond film. I think there's going to be some other shit that is in there.
Are we going to see stormtroopers and like Jedi Knights and stuff like that?
Yeah, well, Daniel was a stormtrooper, so technically we will. But man. So I'm excited, dude. So I think in terms of our JBR family celebrations, I think because obviously people are doing screenings in the morning, some people are doing screenings in the afternoon, some people are doing screenings in the evening.
Some people do the midnight as well.
Some people doing the midnight one. I'm too old for that shit, man. I can't be staying up that late these days.
I thought we used to being up at that hour. With
I suppose these days. But man. So I'm right in thinking our main JBR family gathering is the 7 p.m. at Leicester Square, isn't it?
100%, yeah. OG in Leicester Square, 7 p.m, Thursday 30th.
Nice.
Like at least 40 of the JBR family there, probably more. Yeah. But that won't be the only one. If anyone is around in the morning, 8 a.m. at the IMAX, the BFI IMAX, that is, there's going to be a load of us there as well. There's probably going to be a showing on the Friday. I think some people might do an afternoon on Thursday, but the main one is 7 p.m. Thursday evening, and if you're up and about 8 a.m. Thursday morning.
Nice.
Yeah.
And do we have at this stage, because obviously on Leicester Square there's loads of places to drink and stuff afterwards. I don't know whether we haven't decided on a venue yet, have we, for the post-movie, post 7 p.m. screening shenanigans?
Not yet. Well, not yet as such, but 100% it will be on the Facebook page and the JBR social media prior to the day. So
yeah.
obviously Thursday 30th, we'll have that information at least a few days before that as to where we're going to meet up beforehand, where we're going to be afterwards to celebrate and have a drink and chat and everything. So yeah, that will be out there. If it's not yet, then it will be coming soon.
All right, sweet. And if it's anything like last time, those drinks and chats will go on until 6 o'clock in the morning. So yeah, man, if you need to book a hotel room around the Leicester Square area, then do it, because we will be going.
It'll be worth it.
Yeah, it will be worth it. Still one of my favourite nights of all time. That SPECTRE premiere. That was a mind blower. That I loved it. Yeah. So yeah, it's all happening next week, man. Finally, thank goodness. So yeah, exciting times, bro. How are you? Like, where's your excitement levels at? Are you super pumped, or are you remaining somewhat calm?
I think I'm above calm now. I'm above calm. Like, I was indifferent before, not because I didn't want it, but because I was blocking it.
Yeah.
Then the slow realization that this might actually happen, moved up to level calm and then went slightly above calm. Now I'm definitely above calm.
Yeah.
I can't say that I'm in the full, like, you're never going to reach full mode until you're there, basically. Yeah. When you're there, nothing can eclipse that.
Do you know what I think is the bit that you go, all right, here we go, is when it's not even the gun barrel. It's the bit where the signature goes up on the screen with the certificate and saying this film has been classified as blah, 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 blah. Yeah. Like, that's the moment where it's like, holy fuck, we're actually doing this now. And it's, don't forget, we are still watching movies that are getting on for 70 years old.
That's crazy.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And we're still watching those frequently. And this film is going to join that pantheon, and we're going to be watching this one for the rest of our lives. It's going to be in the rotation for the rest of our lives. It's going to be, an important one. So, dude, yeah, big deal next week.
I do wonder where it's going to lie. Obviously, it's going to take a while in terms of when it's come out and everyone's had a chance to view it a dozen times or however many and let it soak in. I wonder where it's going to lie on that Daniel sort of Hall of Fame.
Well, this is the thing, man, because it's one of the, like I often say, is like there's the test of time, isn't there? Because I remember coming out of Tomorrow Never Dies and be like, best Bond film there ever was, my favorite. That was amazing. And then of course time ticks on, you're like, actually no, it wasn't. It wasn't better than Goldfinger or Majesties. You know what I mean? Solid flick, but it's not up there in that league for me. And so there is the test of time. I'd say the one that is really standing the test of time, I think, is Casino. Like, that one's not going anywhere forever, that one. I think that's might even be the best one ever.
That's a permanent.
So that has stood the test of time so far. So it does have to do that. No matter how we feel about it when we see No Time to Die, it's like we've got to give it 10, 15 years to see if it cuts the mustard, But there we go. So in terms of our No Time to Die coverage, I suppose we should alert the JBR family, because obviously next week we're going to be in London for most of the week. I don't know where we're going to find any time to sit down and do any kind of podcast for next Friday. We might bundle together like a really lo-fi recording you and me on the phone, just having a quick chat about the premiere or something. So I don't think we're going to have anything for next Friday, but what we are going to do is a good old-fashioned 30 days of No Time to Die, starting on the following Monday. So film comes out.
Did we sign up to 30 again? Did we?
Well, more or less. We're going to do Monday to Friday this time, so we don't, blow our brains out. So yeah, film comes out on Thursday. Our coverage will start on a daily Monday to Friday basis from the Monday, and there we have it. So we'll be going deep on all things No Time to Die. It'll be a lot of fun. It'll be like old times, man.
I know, mate. I remember that 30 days of Spectre. Yeah. It was a challenge. One. It was, but well worth it. Definitely.
And do you know what though? Is as long-term podcasters like we are now, the thought of recording a shit ton of podcasts like that for anything else would be like, oh man, that's a struggle. But I know our energy, because it's a new film, we're going to need to talk about it. We're going to have a lot to talk about. You know what I mean? It's not like we're talking about Majesties for the 3,500th time. It's like, this is going to be fresh meat, and we're going to need to get our teeth into it and devour it. So I think the time.
I'm hungry, Tommy. I'm hungry.
Yeah, me too. Aren't we all? It's like John Williams called it, our very own JW. He said it's like the longest foreplay ever, and it's like we're finally going to get to completely.
Complete the deed.
Complete the deed. Yeah, that's a nice polite way to put it. I was going to say something far more vulgar, but there we go. So next week, everybody, it's all kicking off. So good luck. Obviously, our American cousins and our Australian cousins even more have to wait a long time. So, keep your eyes off social medias, and obviously probably don't listen to JBR for a little while until you've actually seen the film.
That's a good point. Yeah, there will be spoilers in the review of No Time to Die. Of course. So,
absolutely.
Yeah.
So there we have it. So good luck everybody for next week. This will probably be the last time you hear from us before you see the film. If you're in the UK and other territories with the same release date, good luck. Let's hope it's a good one. So should we crack on and talk to Ross again about the remaining car chases?
Mr. Scharphorn. There we go.
Let's do it.
My name's Bond. James Bond.
Bond. James.
Bond, what do you think you're doing?
Keeping the British end up, sir.
Welcome to James Bond Radio. News, reviews, and discussion of all things 007.
Pussy. As you can see, I have no problem with female authority.
Oh, pipe down 007.
Do you expect me to talk?
No, Mr. Bond, I expect you to lie.
Welcome to part 2 of the Car Chases of Bond, and with us again is Ross Scharphorn. Good to have you back, Ross. How are you looking? How are you feeling for episode 2?
Hey guys, I'm feeling great. I'm feeling 10 foot tall and bulletproof. I'm ready to go with you guys. I know there's a big question that's looming, that's on your minds, that I just want to address first and foremost before we get started. And that is Ross still wearing the same shirt from yesterday? And yes, I am. Okay. And it's not because it's laundry day. It's only because you got to think about the time difference. Okay. It's between Los Angeles and London. It's only been 3 hours since our last conversation here. So
there we go.
Absolutely. All right.
No, I'm good to go, guys. Let's do this.
Nice. All right, then. So last week we talked about obviously the first 12 movies. We went up to For Your Eyes Only. And then this week, obviously, we're going to do the last half of the series. And you want to throw in some Never Say Never Again action as well, don't you?
I just want to dip my toe in, guys, because again, I just want to reiterate that it's not my favorite film, and I really just Kevin McClory makes my skin crawl for all the trouble he gave the Bond producers, So I will just touch on it because I really do think it's the best part of that movie, and there's some awesome stunts in it. So we can't leave it alone. We got to say something about it.
All right, then sounds good. So, first movie of the day then. Obviously, we finished up with For Your Eyes Only last time. It's time for one of Chris's favourites, Octopussy. So talk to us, man. What car chase juice do we get out of this one?
Yeah, Chris. So I was very stoked to talk to you about this one, man, because I know your love for Octopussy. The first chase is, it kind of dips back into that silly Bond territory, but we got the tuk-tuk chase.
Yeah, so silly Bond? Are you serious? Yeah. This is like the most serious chase out there. Come on.
Well, what is cool though that I like, guys, and I'm sure you caught it right away too, is just the sound design. Is how you immediately know that the tuk tuk is a Q branch vehicle because he fires it up and it sounds like a Kawasaki. And I think they actually did modify it with a Kawasaki motor, but he pops a wheelie and they're down the street and chaos ensues. But yeah, it's a nutty chase. It really is. Getting chased by a Willie's Jeep. And, you think about even back then in 83, just the massive population that's in India and all those people on the streets to be flying through those streets at the speeds they were going. It's pretty crazy. And, the whole thing about the guy on the bike, right?
That's insane, right? Yeah, you got to say that for everyone who doesn't know.
Yeah, tell them about it, Chris. It's amazing, right?
Well, basically, I mean, you'll easily see it in the film, but there's a part where the Jeep comes alongside a tuk-tuk. A couple of guys are sort of, I think VJ has his tennis racket and he's trying to hit them away. And as they're battling side by side, this guy on a bike sort of just beeps his bell and comes tootling in between them. And everyone thought, wow, that's a really clever idea. And what some people don't know is he actually wasn't planned. It was just like an actual cyclist that came down as that was going on. And he didn't even bat an eyelid, did he, Russ? That's the brilliance about it.
Well, that's the skill and, of those stunt drivers is that the guy in the tuk-tuk, the guy in the Jeep, they saw the guy, they split and they did what we call a head-on near miss. And usually that's planned and timed, but that was literally just those guys' good reaction time. And then the best part, they come right back together and go right back into the chase. So good on him for having good heads up. And that guy lives to drive another day for sure.
Oh, was that,
like that.
Did you plan that, or did that just come off the cuff, Bros? Because that was a beauty what you just dropped there.
yeah, or an absolute turd. I can't figure out which, but yeah, guys. Chris brought it, the tennis racket. With VJ, you got to love the whole a little bit of breaking the fourth wall, because he was a tennis champion, right?
Yes.
VJ, and his name was VJ in real life, right? And yeah, he's one of those Tony Danza types. He's like, don't change my name, just call me VJ. But yeah, a little bit of goofy sound design. It goes back to that. It always harkens back to me for the way I think it's silly is that it's like the St. Mark's Square thing with the Bondola and Moonraker with the triple taking pigeon and stuff and it's funny, don't get me wrong, but like when he starts hitting the guys with the tennis racket and you see the crowd looking left and right like they're watching a tennis match, like it's
even
hilarious.
The cars would have like zoomed right past them.
Yeah, but that being said, all the silliness aside, I mean, it is for laughs and we enjoy it. I mean, come on, Roger always knew that we're just there to have a fun ride with Bond, and that's exactly what they delivered. But man, there's some cool stunt work if you look in there, like the tuk jump over the camel. That was real, man. They jumped off some ramps. I believe they went into boxes. But yeah, it was a huge jump, and I mean that's amazing. And the wheelies and everything, and the driving with the Jeep was pretty good too. The crash was a little fakey at the end with the Jeep, but I mean like I said, it's a bananas chase, man. It's just one of those things where it's like only in a Bond movie would you see something like this, So it's very creative.
You have those times in life where you drop a Bond quote or a Bond line amongst civilians out in the world, and you sort of smile to yourself because you're the only one that knows what that means or whatever, or what that's a reference to. I remember when we were heading up to Peace Gloria, Chris, at the Majesty's celebration. Do you remember we jumped in? It wasn't a tuk, but it was like a golf cart type thing. Do you remember? Yeah. And they zoomed us along to the little lift thing to take us up. And I was even in the white dinner jacket as well. And we zoomed past a few members of the JBR family, and I busted out a rupiah as we drove past. And I was so pleased with myself that I managed to pull that off. It really pleased me. Yeah, it was a great
amazing.
moment.
That beats me. I think I just said to the guy, "Step on it," and then see what happened.
There you go. There you go. I love it. Well, and yeah, that's a cool part too. Where he stabs him and the money saves him. Easy come, easy go. It's still very smooth, very cool. And you gotta love the ending too, where he goes in through the dragon mouth and it busts through the paper, and then the other billboard comes down into Q branch there. It's really a cool ending to the chase too. But yeah, just pretty much played for laughs. But I mean, that was Raj, man. He could get away with that. Could you imagine Daniel doing a scene like that?
No, well, it remains to be seen with No Time to Die. Maybe there is one. But yeah, no, I think that is it's one of those things I always say, because a lot of people would literally poo-poo this period of Roger, with your Moonrakers and your Octopussies and all that. And I get it, like especially like in Spy, you've got things like when they're driving through the desert in the beat up old van, and it's like that brass section soundtrack, and it's just like, oh fucking hell, what is this? But at the same time, the times they belong to, man, I think it's like it's appropriate for that flavor of Bond, and I think you just go with it and enjoy it,
Exactly right. And what do they call the weapon that is being used by Govinda? Like a blunderbuss?
Blunderbuss, yeah. That's
like
a beast of a gun.
It's a beast, but it definitely looks like a cartoon for sure,
for sure.
Yeah, some Elmer Fudd action. But, like I said, old Raj, he sold it. He owned every minute of it. And there's still those Bondian moments, the jump, the sneaky ending and those cool lines. And you're just like, man, it's just so much fun. It puts a smile on my face every single time. We'll say that for sure.
Definitely.
But yeah, fun chase. But yeah, the guys that were involved with that chase, let's see here. I have it written down as Dave Bickers and Dominic Julien were the VJ doubles in the tuk-tuk. So they were the guys doing those wheelies and trying to shake them off. And then Rocky Taylor, the infamous Rocky Taylor, got to be the old Raj double sitting in the back of the tuk-tuk. So he was the guy, and even for the jump and everything, he was hanging on there for dear life in the back as they jumped into the box race.
Yes, Rocky.
Cool stuff. But yeah, the tuk-tuks, all I had was that they're modified Kawasaki engines to get them to go so fast and pop the wheelies. And then the 1942 Willys MB Jeep had a straight four they called the Go Devil was the name of the engine. It had 60 horsepower. But does anybody want to try to guess the license plate number on that Jeep?
If there is a man on the planet who will get that or has any chance of getting that, it's Chris. It's, it's your movie, dude. It's like asking me a GoldenEye question.
I think some of the other vehicles I might be all right on, but the Jeep, I can't remember. Sorry, man.
Tough.
I feel bad now.
Well, these are tough. I honestly, guys, if I was listening at home, I wouldn't know any of these. And but it actually, in fact, is RRT 3467. That is the license number of that Jeep.
I've set myself up for failure now for when we get to GoldenEye. I'm going to humiliate myself.
All right, guys. So chase number 2 is with the Mercedes-Benz that Bond steals from the General to chase the train, and some good stunt driving on display in this one, guys. What do you think about this one, chasing down the train in the black Mercedes?
I think it's great, because again, we see him on two wheels, don't we? Bond on two wheels. Speed. Which is that's it. And I like the way that the guns shoot the underside of the car as he's trying to get away. I think that's really cool. Yeah. And the clever bit when it lands and then the tires go over the shredders. So he's basically on rail on like the hubcap. How's he going to get away? Oh, there's a set of train tracks, and they just fit perfectly. Just
of course,
spins a car, absolute perfect dimensions, and away he goes. And I just think it's clever and it's good. It's obviously a little bit more serious than the last one. I think you got the crazy all off shouting and all the guns going off, but I like it. And when it goes on the train tracks. And when the train almost just misses Bond when he leaps onto the train, and then the car flies and almost hits the fisherman like by a fraction. So close. It's brilliant. I love that scene.
Well, what's great about this chase, guys, is that in the same movie as the tuk-tuk chase, we now switch gears and we got a frantic, like he's after a nuke that's going to blow a bunch of innocent people up, and it gets serious. It gets deadly serious in the scene, and you're with Bond. You're like, he's got to go, man. He's got to get that train. The shootout right before that is very serious as well. It's one of my favorite Roger shootouts. And you're going, and what I love, guys, is the Bond theme kicks in right at the right moment, right up that follow that car, and then boom, we're slamming. We just see tracks. We're with Bond. We see the bullet holes in the windshield. Roger looking cool as hell. And I'm like, this is what Bond movies are all about right here. He was, just like with GoldenEye, with a lot of other Bond movies, he's surrounded. It's what do they say in the trailer? He's outnumbered 100-1, and they don't stand a chance, right? Because gets himself out of there. He's on the mission, and I love it. And same thing, the action doesn't stop. Is that he gets on the roof? The umbrella trick. He gets the old improvised cruise control, and he jumps off, and that train comes out of nowhere. And man, what a cool sequence, it really is. And actually just want to throw in a little stunt that I really appreciate every time that doesn't get talked about enough is the brilliant timing of the skid turn just before he goes up on two wheels to wipe out all those barrels and take out all those guys on the platform. Like, what a cool stunt that was. How fun would that have been to be one of those soldiers and you get blasted by the barrels as he comes speeding by. Like, that's a cool stunt, man. So I really dig this chase a lot.
Nice.
Nicely done.
But so anyway, breaking this one down really quickly, that Mercedes that we saw him in is a 1968 Mercedes-Benz 280 SE W108. It had a V6 twin carb with 158 horsepower. And does anyone want to take a crack at the license number of the car that's getting onto those train tracks?
Let's turn it over to the JBR listeners at home. Who listening at home can get that one? I bet you there's somebody out there that's like,
do you know what, Tom? This has got me thinking. Perhaps the next JBR Boxing Day quiz can just be all about license plates every single round.
We'll borrow Ross's notes.
That's cruel and unusual.
Done.
Yeah. yes. I go by my notes. No, it is BT 36-72.
BT, I think the Alfa Romeo's got BT something, isn't it? I think
it very well be. Yeah, BT, you're correct on that one. Look at this Octopussy fan right here. It's in the gray matter back in there somewhere. It's in the cockles, Chris. You might nail that one, because now we're coming up to the best chase of the whole movie, and I gotta say, this is one that always kind of gets lost in the conversation of Bond, but should be talked about more, because this chase rocks. I love the Alfa chase in this movie, guys. It's amazing. So what are your guys' thoughts on it? How does it strike you guys?
Tommy, go on.
Go
Over
on,
to
Chris.
you.
You this is your movie, man. So
Well-
you take the spotlight on this
Well,
one, dude.
I 100% agree with Ross. I think this chase is really overlooked. I just love how it starts, where the woman's on the phone and he just steals her Alfa Romeo. My auto, and it's just brilliant. He just nicks her Alfa Romeo, speeds off, and this car's got a bit of power and a really nice sound. Like I really like the sound of the engine, and now we've got the police who are in decent. They're in BMWs, aren't they? And like decent cars as well. So it's not just black sedans. This is a proper car chase. It's not like your Lotus versus your Ford Taurus or whatever. This could actually happen, and it looks realistic as well. Like the way that they filmed it, and you've got some lovely slides, really really nice slides. Loads of them actually. Coming to think about it, and yeah, I think it's really overlooked, but absolutely brilliant. And there's some great bits. Obviously, he ends up in the airport, in the American airbase. But the lead up to that is great, and I just think it's fantastic. It gets me going whenever I watch it. I'm like, I want to get behind the wheel and just get involved.
Yeah, absolutely, man. I couldn't agree more. It's finally one of those chases where, like you said, the cars are equally matched and their driving skills are equally matched. So we just get some amazing stunt driving on display for sure. Just my little blurb I had on it, guys, is that it's an all-time series classic. People should just put it on a high pedestal. The weight transfer skid turns that they do and the reverse 180s on the tight roads. One of the best moments of this chase, guys, is when one of the German police comes through, spins out, he over-rotates his skid turn in front of another car, goes backwards, slams that sucker in reverse, goes nose to nose, and then he just on this tight road whips it around into a reverse 180 and keeps going, all in that tight little area where if he would have over-rotated in one way or the other, he would have ripped the whole front end right off the car, but he just threads the needle and they're gone. It's amazing. Also, they do head-on near misses on the Autobahn. They get on the Autobahn, man. It's awesome. They're flashing high beams. They're going around other cars. It's amazing. Really exciting stuff. But this is my favorite part, is that I find it hilarious that John Glen chose not to make the German police crash in any way and show that they are excellent drivers. But within the first second that we see an American police car, he spins out and crashes and just stuffs it into a trailer right away. So he's continuing that funny running joke of that the American police cars are just big, cars that don't know how to handle, and it's hilarious to me.
That's kind of like every action film you've ever seen is if the police are giving chase, it's like, especially from those days, 70s and 80s movies and that, you've got the hero car doing its thing and then just this, they're like stormtroopers, aren't they? Just complete, can't shoot to save their life. Yeah. I was going to say, if it's like a stormtrooper that can't shoot right, like that's just the cliche of it. They're Keystone Cops is what we're seeing, but it's funny and it's fun to watch cars crash. I mean, come on. So there you go. Talking about that Alfa, guys, it is a 1981 Alfa Romeo GTV6, and it's a cool looking car. I used to live in Culver City, and there was a Alfa Romeo repair shop, and there was always an Alfa just like the same color and everything, just like the one from Octopussy. I used to roll by it a couple times a week, and I would always just look at it, and I'm like, I can't take another picture of it, but there it is. And it's like, I just want to jump in, and hopefully when I take off, some German lady comes roaming out and goes, my auto. But it was a 2.5 liter V6 with 154 horsepower. And Chris, what do you think about that license number, man?
Okay, so it's definitely BT, and then it's, I think it ends on 608, and there's a letter.
That's correct. There's one letter in between that. That's absolutely correct.
BTF 608.
That's it. Look at this guy, Tom.
That is impressive work. Yeah.
Very impressive.
I didn't know the others, though.
I got to give it up to Tom for Spy, and I got to give it up to Chris for Octopussy. Nailing these license numbers, guys. Very, very impressive stuff. They were being chased by 1982 BMW 518s. There were two of them. They had an inline four with 101 horsepower, and they just handled like the dickens. Those cars are fun. Fun cars to drive. Their license numbers were N5287 and N6039. So pretty fun with that. And then there's also a motorcycle in the chase, as you remember. A motorcycle cop comes in there. He's in a 1980 BMW R100 CS. And there's a license number on that one too, guys. I don't know if the JBR listeners would get that, the eagle-eyed listeners, but that is N4056. And that's all I got for Octopussy, guys.
Very nice.
So
lots of car chase action in
but
that one,
it's a banger. And you can see why in 83, and let's just talk for a minute, guys, about how spoiled 80s audiences were for Bond movies. If you were a Bond fan in 80 through 89, what did you get? 7 Bond movies, technically?
Yeah. Beats 2, doesn't it, in the last, decade? Yeah.
Golly. Yeah, so that's pretty cool stuff. But I mean, you can see why this one won the Battle of the Bonds. It just had so much more to offer,
Big time, man. So on that note, then let's look at the underdog, the losing.
Wait, before we do that, let's get a quick rating. Out of course.
10. Oh my gosh, we forgot the ratings. Yes, Octopussy. Yeah, go ahead, Tom.
Octopussy, I'm going to give that a solid 8.
Ooh. 8. Okay, Chris, what do you think?
Yeah, I was just going to say 8. 3 chases, 3 good chases, all different. I wouldn't put it the highest, but I think there's some really solid action. So yeah, I was 8 as well, actually.
Yeah, I'll agree with you guys as well. I think the amazingness of the last chase is balanced out by the goofiness of the first chase. So I'll go with a solid 8.
Sweet
on that one. So yeah, good call.
Nice one. All right then. So it's time for a bit of Never Say Never Again action. Everybody's favorite Bond film. Let's be honest.
Yeah, the redheaded stepchild.
So talk to us about Never Say Never Again, because you said you're not a huge fan of the film, but you wanted to include it.
I did because anytime I can mention Vic Armstrong's name is a good day.
Absolutely.
Amazing guy, an amazing family. I got to work for his son James Armstrong and his brother Andy Armstrong on the show Amazing Spider-Man 2, and they are just the salt of the earth people. I would work for them. I would, anytime, anywhere. They're just class act, and they're fun people. So Vic Armstrong was a stunt coordinator on this movie, so I had to mention his movie. And the chase is awesome. I have to admit, the chase is really cool. With Bond being chased through somewhere in the south of France. What is it, guys? Is it Nice?
Is it Nice?
Yeah, it's like I spent a lot of time down there actually, and so you've got Nice, and then if you go just around the corner, you've got a little sleepy sort of beach town called Villefranche, which is like, I think some of the houses and filming was a lot around that little area. So it's just like outside of Nice. But yeah, cool little. I've been on that beach many, many times.
Nice.
Yeah.
We got Connery on a bike, getting chased through the streets. I really don't have anything. I just have good chase and an otherwise terrible movie. But yeah, they just, they're chasing them down. There's a lot of going up and down staircases. And like you said, Chris mentioned the little 83 Renault 5 Turbo 2. What a cool little car that is. What a fun car to drive. I believe they had Mike Runyard was the Connery double. They had Dave Bickers. They had Frank Henson. Frank Henson was the guy that got to slide that little Renault as the Fatima Blush double. And this is the highlight. This is actually why I could not let this chase go. I couldn't throw it by the wayside, is from this one moment in the chase. They do a pipe ramp that is an all-time banger in a Chevy Camaro. And Connery, as you know, he puts on the bumpers on the front to protect his wheels, and he smashes into him. Then he hits the rockets and he goes over the top of the other car. How they did that was they towed a ramp behind the Camaro. I think it was a 74 Chevy Camaro, and they towed a ramp behind it, and he went a certain speed, and then the bike just went a little faster and popped right up and over. And they actually used that gag again in The Dark Knight. For when he jumps the Batmobile in Lower Wacker Drive and the Joker shoots him with the RPG. It's the same thing. They had a little VW pulling a ramp, and old George Cottle came up behind him and popped that car right up and over. His was even cooler though, because he almost hit the ceiling of the tunnel, and you're going, oh man, that's a scalper, but beautiful stunt. So that's really cool. But then, oh my gosh, that Camaro freaks out and he goes into some parked cars, and he throws a big old pipe ramp, and they do it French Connection style, where he goes right at the camera. Like he hits the cars here and just goes right into the lens. and slides on his roof, and you're just like, that was cool. So got to give it up to Roy Allen. Or if I'm, again, John Audi, if I'm pronouncing that wrong, you can shame me later on your podcast, but it's Roy Allen did the Camaro pipe ramp. And so I give him the Balls of Steel award for that one.
You explained the pipe ramp last time, didn't you? I remember you saying it was like if you ever watched the A-Team. And I thought that's such a perfect example because every car chase ended up with the car going and just like taking off and doing a little spin. Yeah.
I think it gave an entire generation PTSD that if you ever had a blowout with your tire, you're going to suddenly start spiraling through the air. If you ever noticed when they shoot the tire, boom, oh my God. So yeah, the emergency springs deploy in the bottom of the car. But yeah, there you go. That's all I got. I just want to make it short and sweet. For that movie, but tip of the cap to Vic Armstrong for putting that action together because it really made an otherwise sort of movie really enjoyable to watch.
Sweet.
So there you go.
Question for Chris quickly. When was the last time you watched Never Say Never Again?
It probably would have been about the time we reviewed it.
Yeah,
have I seen it since then? Yeah. How long was that? Like 3 years ago?
That was like 2014, I think it was.
Was it?
Yeah, maybe 2015. Yeah,
I did. Yeah. I do remember thinking the first half's pretty decent and like the chase is great and then the end's not great. But yeah. The chase, you can't forget that.
It's got some flickers of goodness in that film, I think. There's definitely some good stuff in there. Obviously, there's also some bad stuff as well. But yeah. Yeah. All right. So give us your rating then.
Well, how would you guys, I was just going to say, how would you rate it?
After you, ladies first.
Well, yeah, that's you, Ross.
Just gonna go. Okay. I would give it a solid 5 on 10, just because the driving's all excellent, but man, the score, like the soundtrack, is like what is because they couldn't use the Bond theme, and I think the score is pretty deplorable in that movie.
Yeah.
And just there's stuff, the bike breaks at certain points, and then it's just back together in the next shot, and it's a little clunky, but the stunts are top notch. When he jumps over the piers at the end and he hits the rocket and he goes over the pier to pier jump, that's pretty impressive. Yeah. I'll give it a solid 5 on 10.
Nice. Chris?
Ditto.
Yeah. I think it's a middle of the roader, that one, isn't it? It's like, you just got to take it for what it is. Absolutely. All right, cool. So what Bond film comes after Octopussy Never Say Never Again, Chris?
Ooh, is that No Time to... Oh, no, hang on a minute. A View to a Kill, perhaps?
That's the one.
That's the one.
Talk to us about A View to a Kill, man.
All right, View to a Kill. We start off with another Remy Julienne special. So this one really harkens back to the Italian Job, where he's got a small car driving down staircases in a very populated city. And he must have just been having a blast because it was in his hometown of Paris. So, to be doing a Bond movie in your hometown, doing, your favorite thing in the world to do, you can't get better than that, guys. So it was a very, very fun chase. Actually, I think Remy and his sons did most of the driving for this. The 180s down the staircases, jumping onto the roof of the moving bus, obliterating the roof halfway through. Such a great sequence. I mean, again, you just watched it and you go, is this ridiculous? Yes. Would the car not drive anymore after the rear half was cut off? Yes. But I don't care. Hey, sorry about that, guys.
Someone disagrees with you.
There's a View to a Kill fan in the background there, obviously.
That is Indiana Bones right there, guys. Indiana Bones. Indy, nice. Shut up, buddy. Shh, it's okay. That may happen again on this conversation. I don't have my missus here today to take him in the other room. I apologize.
It's all good. So let me ask you this, right? So how does that work then? You shear the car off, so it's just the front portion of the car on the go. Mm-hmm. Very memorable, by the way. That sticks in a lot of people's minds. In the mind of the civilian, I feel like that the non-Bond freak, that thing, I think, sticks in the memory for people. How did you do that then? How did that work? Do you know?
So the fuel tank, as you know, is located in the rear of the car. Okay, so what they did was they put a fuel cell, which is a smaller version of a fuel tank that actually uses a sponge inside of a metal tank to absorb the fuel. And they loaded one of those, I'm not sure, probably I would guess in the footwell of the passenger side of the front of the car. So it would still have a fuel supply. So after you do that, after you have a fuel supply in the front, then it just drives normally because it's a front wheel drive car. That Renault was a front wheel drive car. So it didn't really need the rear wheels to drive. So after they sheared that middle section off, as long as you had your fuel supply up in front with you, you could drive it all over. And it'd actually be really fun to drive because with the rear half missing, you could kick it around and get some good slides around the corner as they did. I'm not sure if it was Martin Grace or one of the other guys that did that at the very end section there, but they had a lot of fun sliding that car after the rear end was sheared.
Nice.
I'm not sure if you've seen it. I think Tom and I might have mentioned this before, but have you heard? You must have heard of Top Gear, the British TV show.
Big fan.
Now there was a recent one. Was it last year or perhaps earlier this year? And they did a James Bond episode, and one of the sections were three guys, the three presenters, each had a 1.5 Renault car. And basically were racing each other around a track with just the front half of the car. It was great. It looked great fun actually, but they were spinning everywhere.
Yes, that's great. Yeah, that'd be good fun for sure. But yeah, it was just, it's amazing just to see, everything come together, all the different departments, the way they shot it logistically. You got to give it up to the production team for keeping the entire city of Paris, back at bay to safely shoot in that area. So it's a really cool sequence. There's a much bigger stunt crew on this one, guys, much bigger. Arthur Wooster is back as the second unit director. Martin Grace now steps up as the stunt coordinator, filling in for the legendary Bob Simmons, who had retired by this point. I believe he might have come back to supervise a little bit. But then we had, and he was also Roger Moore's double, as you know, in those times. Then we had Jim Arnett. He was actually the fire truck chase supervisor. He was an American coordinator when they came to the States. Bob Simmons is there as the stunt supervisor, so they still threw him a bone there. But Remy Julienne was the one that was driving when they sheared the roof off, and hilariously, you see him pop back up with the wig that looks like, a Pomeranian. And, that was Remy. Dick Zeiker was on there. He was the Bond double for the fire engine chase that we'll talk about in a moment, but he was hanging off of the ladder for the fire engine. Dominique Julien drove the fire truck as well in that sequence. And then Michel Julien, the other son of Remy, did the huge jump. Now, to me in this chase, guys, that is the highlight of the chase is when he jumps the car from the ramp to the top of the moving bus. Yeah, because that is, you need, a lot of good timing for that. And, again, they kind of undercrank, or they overcrank it a little bit so that we can get a nice slow-mo of the car just sailing through the air, touching down on the roof, and then jumping back down to the street. Like, that is an amazing stunt. So that was Michel Julien for that. We can have him to thank for that.
I do love this chase. It's obviously, it is what it is, where it's super over the top, and like you say, if that car did get shot in half, it ain't going anywhere. But when you suspend your disbelief and go with it, like you say, the technical ability on display there is pretty phenomenal, isn't it? And that's actually the bit that sticks in my mind the most, is that bit landing on the top of the bus and doing that whole thing. I think that's an awesome thing. Totally over the top, obviously, but great at the same time.
Well, what's really cool, guys, is it takes a village, right, to make Bond. We always think Bond can do anything. Yeah. Well, it's actually like 5 guys that are Bond in this one sequence. You know what I mean? It's like we got Martin Grace jumping down on the top of the elevator. Then it switches to Dominique and going down the staircase. Remy
that was great. The staircase spin is so good.
Yep. Then it goes to Michel Julien for the jump. Then it goes to Jean-Claude Legens, did the actual stunt where the car got halved. Then it was Remy who did the shearing of, it was Remy first. He did the shearing of the roof. Then it was Jean-Claude did the halving of the car. Then it's back to Martin Grace jumping down from the bridge onto the top of the boat down in the river.
So you're saying it wasn't one take?
Right. And then it was Raj. So it's like, it takes all those guys, just to make it look like our hero James Bond is doing all this incredible stuff. So it's really cool to see it all come together seamlessly like that.
Sweet. All right. Yep. Nicely done.
Yep. And then just to round out the stunt team, guys, really quickly, we had Patrick Medoni, Robert Balsco, Christian Bonachon. Again, if I'm murdering these names, I'm but a simple American. Sean Claude Hobart, Eddie Heiss is with Jean Coulter. They were the man and the woman in the pickup truck that where the top gets sheared off and they're having sex in there when the fire truck goes by. And then finally, I mentioned before, we have Michael Runyard. So let's move on to a less beloved chase in this film. We're back to the Keystone Cops area, but I just am very curious. I see Chris kind of puckering up there. What are your thoughts on this chase, man?
Like a lot of people slate A View to a Kill as a film, and for me, I really enjoy it. I find it a really fun film. But the only section that kind of lets it down for me is the city hall followed by the fire truck thing. I'm sure there are people out there that love it and rightly so, but I think it's obviously it's played for laughs, but it's a bit too much that way for me. And the whole cop cars getting smashed and the bridge coming down, it's just stuff that I've seen a lot in other things. Bond should be the first, Bond should be original, and it normally is. And I think with the taxi early on in that film, no one had ever seen that, and no one will probably try and do it again. But with the fire truck chase, I mean, the guy hanging on the ladder and stuff is pretty cool. But yeah, it's sort of stuff that I had seen before, so I'm not a huge fan, unfortunately.
Yeah. What about you, Tom? Do you enjoy this chase?
Yeah, it is what it is. I think God, it was years ago when we reviewed the film, but it's one of those chases. It doesn't need to be there. It's just there for the sake of having a chase, doesn't it? It doesn't move anything along. But B, yeah, it's all right, isn't it? It's kind of like, I kind of like the bit where they jump up the bridge that's moving up. That's a bit Blues Brothers as well, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's all right. You get a good view of the old Roger as he's kind of swinging around, which is always a good time.
That's a good one, Russ.
Yeah, man. Yeah, that's really good. But yeah, I think the chase was sort of trying to emulate a little bit of Live and Let Die with Raj behind the wheel of a bigger vehicle like that, with the bus and the fire truck. But like you said, it falls a little bit flat for me too. Again, the thing I hate the most in car chases is the rear projection or the green screen shots, and there's just way too many to count here. And they're super obvious and cheesy, and because we're out on that ladder, you're like, yeah, that's very studio based. The chase itself is mostly played for laughs, and again, we get the bumbling Keystone Cops, police officers who have no driving skill whatsoever and just crash into everything that they see. There are a couple of cool bits of the stunt work here with Bond hanging off the ladder. The police car side swipes are cool, but the highlight would clearly be the drawbridge portion. I would like to talk about that a little bit. There's a couple cool moments in there. I really enjoy the part where they jump the truck, where the fire truck goes over the bridge. I would have liked to see it go a little bit higher. And
a wide shot, I think, would have been nice, because you see it and you don't. I don't think you get the full impact. That's like true. In Italian Job with the minis, and they do that amazing roof jump, but they didn't get the right camera angle to show you how big. And I think the same with this fire truck. It's a brilliant, the jump is fantastic. He must have been hooning it, but I think a wide shot just to see would have been nice, just to capture how amazing it was.
Yeah. But as you know, it's all smoke and mirrors in Hollywood, right, guys? Yeah. And I guarantee you that bus was utterly destroyed when they jumped it off the other side. If you ever watch the behind the scenes on the movie Speed, where they jumped the bus, it's amazing to see. Joffrey Brown was the guy that was the name of the stunt driver on that, and he had a centered up driving line, where his actual pod was, where he drove the car. Kind of like Bumps Willard did in Man with the Golden Gun, is they centered him in the car to get balance. But he jumped this bus, and it came down and just walloped this bus on the solid pavement. And Joffrey actually bit the end of his tongue right off. He hit so hard, but it annihilated this bus. But when you see it in the movie, it just down onto its wheels like an airplane touching down, and kind of bounces and down the road. They used to do that in the Dukes of Hazzard all the time, as they do, Jack Gill and all those guys would do this huge colossal. They go over a house, or over a barn, and then it'd come down and it just touched down nice and easy. So you basically have the wide shot of a huge jump, and then they would have a tiny wheel just off camera. If the camera's here and the ramp is here, they would have a tiny ramp over here, and they'd just do a tiny, hop over the camera just to get the landing, and they'd edit the two together. And so I guarantee that's what they did here is they had kind of the pan shot of the bus going over the jump, or I'm sorry, the fire truck going over the jump. And then if you see, they have just a little hopper to get the wheels kind of bouncing and stuff. They did need it for the plot for the next scene for Bond to sneak into the mine. Otherwise, if they didn't need that in the plot, if they could figure out another way to sneak him in, I think it would have been cooler just to launch the heck out of that bus and I keep calling it a bus, launch the heck out of that fire truck and annihilate it on the other side of the bridge, and then just have Bond jump out and go, taxi, and then they just straighten the tie and get into the taxi. That would have been pretty cool.
Nice.
I feel so lied to. I grew up thinking that you could do massive jumps in vehicles and everything would be fine. It's one of those that I don't even know if it's something you'd be allowed to say in these days. But I always remember in 80s action movies, I remember being very disappointed because in every time, if there was anybody who was from an Asian country, they would have like banging ninja skills. They would be an expert martial artists. And I grew up genuinely thinking like they learned that shit at school. That was like when we'd sit in maths or whatever, they were learning ninja skills. And I was very disappointed to learn that wasn't a real thing when I grew up. Yeah. I feel so lied to by the movies, man.
Yeah, guys, it's it's smoke and mirrors, but hey, it looks cool in the final product. But what's really cool, and it doesn't really sell on camera, but I just want to let the JBR listeners know, is that Dick Zeikers, the guy that did that jump in the fire truck, he had to get that sucker up to 80 miles per hour to clear the gap. So it's pretty cool that he was really hauling like that. But that's it. That is A View to a Kill, done and dusted right
Give
there,
me your
guys.
rating then, Ross.
Ooh, it'd have to be a little bit lower on this one, guys. I do love the Renault, and I hold that in high regard, but that fire truck chase brings it right back down. So I'd have to give it probably like, I hate to say this, but a 2 out of 10.
Ooh,
for sure.
that is
it's pretty low.
All right. What about you, Chris?
I was thinking either 3 or 4, but I'll probably stick with 3. I do really like the taxi chase. I think that's good fun, but yeah, I'm not a huge fan. So I'll give it a 3. I'll just give it a notch more.
I was going to go for a 5 because I feel I do really like the Paris chase, fire truck chase, whatever brings it down, obviously. But yeah, so, all right, nicely done.
But they made up for it, didn't they, guys, with the next movie?
Sure did.
They certainly did. So on that note, give us some Living Daylights action, man. Bond in an Aston again. Beautiful.
Oh, yeah. And yeah, well, I was just about to be spoilerific, but yes, that's a very beautiful car and I love it. And, it should be featured more. We'll say that.
Yeah.
But anyway, it's amazing. And I got to say, what an introduction for a James Bond. This is, guys, my favorite pre-title sequence, like hands down.
Yeah,
it's so cool. It's just there's so many layers to it, like from the fact that they chose, George Lazenby and Roger Moore lookalikes to be the other double O's that reveal themselves. Like, what a fun Easter egg is that? To the stunt guys that you see popping up throughout this. We get a young Simon Crane go, hey, you're dead, and then we get later on when he's running down the hill, we get to see the stunt coordinator himself. As he's running, he as he jumps down onto the truck, and he gets on top of the Land Rover, and none other than Paul Weston peeks around the corner and he's like, yeah, hold on, you're dead. And I guess the whole crew was just, gathered around, and they're all kind of, come on, mate, this is your time to shine, like they're giving him shit on off camera. Yeah. And it must have been so fun to shoot that day for all the stunt people involved. But it just, man, did they turn in a cracker, man. Like, that thing fires on all cylinders, guys. I just absolutely love every second of it. And I have to say, for his last score for a Bond movie, I mean,
it's a great one.
It's a good one, without a doubt.
Is that not one of the most cracking Bond scores you've ever heard?
I think that opening pre-titles, the soundtrack to it, Exercise at Gibraltar, is insanely good.
John Barry, man, what a legend. And to just for a second, just to go off on a full tangent for a John Barry tangent with you guys, it's like I enjoy that guy's music so much, and just the sweeping sort of feel, the grandiose feel that he brings to every one of his scores. But then he can totally pull a 180 on you, and like he brings out the Moog synthesizer for Majesties. And then in this one, he completely brings the Bond theme like bang up to date. And it just has a little bit of synthesizer that and you just kind of get into it, man. It's kind of like the chase music that Bill Conti did for Your Eyes Only. You just kind of start tapping your foot like, oh yeah, I'm on the mission here with Bond, and it's the 80s now, you know. So, but it was so cool, and I just thought he did a really good job because again, you know, like I told you with my massive car chase list, is a big thing to me is just the music and the mood that's set, you know, for a chase. You know, if it's goofy sound effects and there's not much music, it's going to be a different vibe than if you have a really cool soundtrack to it and you go, man, now I'm having fun, now I'm on the ride with this. So soundtrack was spot on, stunt work was spot on. Yeah, just what I really love, guys, is that they did use rear projection, but it's a limited use. You know, Timothy got up in there and, you know, he sacked up and he jumped on the top of that truck and you can tell that it's him, you know, and he's actually hanging on. And yeah, you know, Paul Weston might've been down there on a platform ready to catch him at a moment's notice, but hey, he still got up there on that truck and he got his knife out and, you know, and you're looking at a real cliff right there and he's actually doing it. And the moment that I love, again, I love all the little moments that people don't really talk about much in these chases, guys. I love the moment where the stunt guy doubling for Timothy's hanging on the side and we're behind the truck and the tunnel is coming and he pulls his legs in just before he goes through that tunnel. Yeah. Oh, I love that. I rewind that moment so many times. Like, look at the timing. Look at that guy. Legendary right there. Amazing stuff. What is funny though, guys, and again, I don't want to wreck anything for you, but once you see this, you can't unsee it. What really cracks me up talking about green screen shots and rear projection shots is when they are on the interior, once Timothy finally goes in and they're having their knife fight inside. If you watch the trees out the window, it will make you laugh because you can tell that it's just a blue sky. They're on a studio and there's a chap down there with a branch. He just keeps...
You know, I
a little tree.
Throughout my whole life, I'd never noticed that, and it was our very own Dan Gale that pointed that out to me. And it does take you out because you realize how ridiculous that man's job is,
you know right? But man, if you don't, you know, again, you should be watching the fight, and it took me many viewings to finally notice that. But man, when you see it, it's one of those things where your eye kind of goes over. You're like, good job, mate. That's looking really good there. Great job with that one. The tree man did a very good job on that. But yeah, it just, all in all, it's very exciting. The editing, the music, the stunts, all on point. The part where he has, you know, where he tucks his legs in is amazing to me. The burning explosives in the back mixed with the in-car fight and highly dangerous driving make it the perfect cocktail for a gripping and suspenseful chase. That's what I like is they initiated the ticking clock. You guys know that that's like the trope in every movie where you got to have the ticking clock, right? And as soon as those explosives get shot with the bullets and they get lit on fire and they're falling out the back and they're blowing up, you're going, Bond does not have much time before that truck goes up in smoke. And so I love that. It really makes the sequence suspenseful to add that addition in there. Love the ending as well with the parachute and how Bond lands perfectly on the yacht with the beautiful lady. Like, man, I mean, Timothy really got a really cool intro there, man.
That is the perfect way. We've said it before, but the perfect way to introduce a new Bond. Like seeing you got some sneaky Bond at the beginning, which is always nice. Then you've got some, you know, high octane car chase fighting Bond. And then you've got romance ladies man Bond at the end of that, you know.
Absolutely.
Beautifully executed.
Absolutely. And also we got to talk about the special effects again. And Chris Corbould and his whole team and Derek Meddings is a big, you know, hero of Bond. Is they shot a Land Rover off with a nitrogen cannon or a CO2 cannon off the cliff to get that first where he goes through the wall. It marries seamlessly into a scale model that they built of Bond actually being pulled out the back with the parachute. That's all scale model.
Wow.
And then right to Timothy pulling the chute, and then it blows. Like none of it like looks scale model at all. You would swear that a stunt guy actually got pulled out of the back of that thing, but just incredible. All the different departments coming together. The skydiving team, I don't know if it was BJ Worth and his team at the beginning, but just that leap and that I love them. It was dun, 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 da, 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 and they're just like flying down. And I love the shot of when they're looking straight down at the rock, and then the skydivers come in on all sides. You feel like
That's
you're on the
beautiful.
mission with them, and it's just beautiful. It's poignant, and it's sneaky Bond, and we love that. And I always like to try to play the shell game of which one is Bond. You know,
yeah, me too.
Pick which double. I think that guy's Bond. That's a fun thing to do. But man, I enjoyed it. I could talk. We could do a whole episode on just that one sequence, guys. But
couldn't we just?
I love that there's a car chase in it, and so there you go. That's the very cool stuff. And with a a Land Rover too is very cool to see. You know, so there you go. It was a 1971 Land Rover 88 Series 3. I had an inline 4 with 69 horsepower. And does anybody want to take a crack at the license number?
We'll pass that one to the listeners at home, I think. Dan Gale probably knows. He's watched that film 1,000 times, I think. So he's probably got it in his memory bank somewhere.
And you know who else who knows? Those monkeys.
Do you know what? I'll tell you what I'm going to do is I'm going to text Dan now and see if he knows. Okay. And then if he texts me back by the end of the episode, then we'll...
you got it. Let me know. Here
we go. Dan Gale.
Love it. Love it. Okay, so as he's texting Dan, we can move on to the the PA Stella Resistance, the big steak dinner in this movie is the Aston Chase, guys. Like, how excited was everyone to see an Aston Martin make a triumphant return in a Bond movie? I mean, don't get me wrong, the Lotuses were great, and I love Wet Nelly. Even the I totally agree with you, Chris. Is that the Burgundy one from For Your Eyes Only, where he goes up to the ski lodge? That's one of the coolest cars I've ever seen. I love that color. I love how the way the car looks, the honeycomb wheels. So, and it definitely made Roger's Bond different. But man, I mean, this is like putting on an old comfortable shoe, man. Like getting the Aston back, you know. Yeah. Legend.
Great choice of Aston as well, I think. And I love the gadgets on this one as well. But this, for me, I think one of the top 5 chases of the whole series, easily. Like we mentioned Spy Chase is definitely in the top 5. This is another one. I think the music, like you mentioned, is fantastic, but the use of the gadgets, the car chase, just going from road to snow to ice, it's brilliant. For me, definite top 5 chase, this one.
Mm-hmm.
What do you know what I like about this is that obviously, you know, introducing a new Bond, you know, you've got to hammer home that it's a completely different dude, right? We've not seen him before. You've got to hammer home that this is the James Bond still that you know and love, but it's a new flavor of it. And I think they balance it just perfectly in the sense that obviously you've got, you know, darker Timmy vibes, more serious, you know, you got the hotel room scene with Pushkin and all that kind of stuff. That's very sort of old schooly, Fleming-y darkness. But this scene with the car chase has just the right amount of fun in it, and just, you know, with all the little car gadgets and all that kind of stuff, and like the updated Goldfinger instead of the little mincy wheel things, it's the lasers, you know, to make you go, yeah, this is we're comfortable here. This is the Bond we've always known. Yeah, I think they pull it off just right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and like you said, what a car, you know, to have a big old throaty V8 in an Aston Martin. Just, it sounded great, it looked great. It's like a muscle car mixed with an Aston Martin. It's awesome. It is a muscle car in its own right, I'll give it that. But yeah, I just, at the top of my list here, guys, I love this chase. I have to full-heartedly, by a country mile, I agree with you, man. It is in top 3 category, let's be real. Classic Bond chase, the gadget-laden Aston Martin, the music blasting away, leaving a trail of utter destruction behind with all the gadgets. We love it because, you know, like I said before, you know, Renaults and AMCs and, you know, Mustangs, they're all fun and good, and we love to see Bond driving well, but don't we love it much, much more when Bond can drive well and bust out some gadgets and blow some stuff up?
Yeah,
absolutely. So from the jump, we get a Goldfinger homage with the laser cutter. Okay, so he's driving along. First gadget's actually the police band radio, right? So he switches the radio, and you're picking up the police band. Oh, must be an atmospheric anomaly, you know. And I love how, you know, Timothy just keeps playing off, you know, the gadgets in his car, like, oh, it must be salt corrosion, you know, all this. When he gets to the safety glass comment, though, at that point, it's like, okay, you know, Tim, we get it. Okay, it's wearing a little thin now. If she hasn't gotten that this car is special, then, you know, little daft,
So can I just make a quick request of you, Ross?
But yeah,
when you get in the
Yes.
car with JW to do the stunt stuff, can you
Yes.
just make sure you drop I've had a few optional extras installed when he gets in, because he'll love it. It'll be a
Absolutely.
nice moment. Yeah.
My pleasure for sure. Yeah. That's perfect. So the Goldfinger homage is great because we all remember the tire slashers that came out of the in hubs of the DB5. This time it comes bang up to date with a laser. Everybody in the 80s, we're 80s babies, right, guys? Everything lasers were so cool. You know, got to have a laser disc, got to have the laser background for your second grade photos. You know, lasers were everything. So has the laser cutter this time. Very, very cool moment. And has one of the best Tim moments as Bond when he says, "I've had a few optional extras installed." You know, that's just like you said, man, just such a cool line. And then he blasts the semi-trailer into splinters and hammers down straight through the flames. Like, I have to say, guys, this is one of like my top 10 moments in the whole series. Just when he deploys those missiles, the way they edit the whole thing, like you're on the front of the car, you're going straight at it. And how cool was it? Like a thing that Timothy had in his movies that nobody else did, where they had the two crosshairs and like a heads up display go beep, 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 beep. And they did that in License to Kill as well with the Stinger missile. Like, that's such a cool little, like such a cool thing. That's just quirky and neat. I love to see that. But man, you see that thing come together, you know it's on. And I love that he pushes the lighter button to ignite the missiles. Like, what a cool, I'm gonna light you up, baby. And blows the hell out of that trailer. Like we've said from the jump, guys, the special effects, just when there's explosions in a Bond movie, they do not skimp on the budget. Like that was a big explosion.
And I love the way that he doesn't slow down to check just to make sure the bombs have done the job. He knows, he floors it. And I love that. Yeah.
That is trust in Q right there. Okay. That is trust in Q branch, that there is not some metal left over. I never thought about that, Chris. Absolutely. So yeah, it goes straight hammer down through the flames. Awesome. The rest of the chase is quite chaotic as tanks and snowcats come all out of the woodwork, taking pot shots at the car with rifle propelled grenades and AKs aplenty. The only truly cheesy part is how Bond cuts a huge hole in the ice with the rim of the car when he could have just easily reused his in-hub laser cutter. You know, why do that with the rim when he could just hit the laser one more time? The car's already tilted down, just hit that laser right into the ice. We would have bought that, you know. But everything else is solid gold, you guys. The skis, the rocket booster, that sweet ass jump. I love that jump. Wow. Just love how the first Aston that Bond drives in over 20 years goes out with a bang to cover their escape. You know, like that, just that whole sequence where they, you know, brace yourself and then boom, he jumps that sucker right up and over, hits the rear, you know, of the car. And I love the editing too of how they knew that the second unit had already shot the jump and the back of the car had hit the little radio shack at the top of the embankment. So they said, okay, in you know, when we shoot our insert shots of Timothy and Miriam, let's have them lurch forward, you know, and they lurch forward in the car like the rear end got hit and it seams together so perfectly. And they bounce down, shear off those skis. It's almost a Live and Let Die reference where they're shearing the wings off the plane. Shear those skis off. And you got, I mean, even though, you know, my hat's off to that Aston Martin for sacrificing itself. It's like blowing it up at the end was awesome. And another enormous explosion. Like it's not just a little one, it's a big one. And then it goes into that beautiful ski chase that's just so creative, you know, and some people might call it cheesy, but I don't think so. I think that was a very good improvisation by Bond to get into the cello. And I love how he says too, like, glad I insisted you brought that cello, you know, great, man. I have so much fun with this part of the movie. I could rewatch that on a loop. I just love it.
Me too.
There's one other bit of that chase which I absolutely adore when he's on the lake and he's in the shed and the guy just launches the missile launcher, the grenade launcher, and you just see the Aston rip it out of the shed and the wood flies everywhere just as the bomb explodes it behind him. That's so good.
Honey
That's
hush.
Amazing bit.
You got it, man. Splinters, the whole thing. Boom, boards flying everywhere. It looked like the explosion from Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid, you know. I love, you know, lots of debris and explosions. Looks cool. And I love too his line right before time to leave. You know, he slams it into a low gear and they're gone, man. It's so cool. And, you know, again, I hate to mention your favorite movie ever, Tom, but there is a nice reference to all the Living Daylights with the spiky tires. They got the spiky tires make another appearance.
Oh yeah, so they do. Yeah.
Yep. I always looked at that as a Living Daylights reference too. So, but there you go, man. I just, man, let's talk all day about this chase, shall we? Because that is a cool chase right there. But I just love to highlight the stunt team guys, the guys that made it possible, that made us sitting here talking today about it. Again, it's good old Arthur Wooster as the second unit director, Mr. Paul Weston making his debut as the stunt coordinator. Great guy. Paul Heesman drove the Land Rover. Well, I'm sorry, he did not drive the Land Rover. He did the car hit. So do you remember when he runs out into the street, shoots at the Land Rover, and then they hit the guy and they go through the gate? That was Paul Heesman. So he had to actually jump off of, I think, a mini tramp to get himself high enough to then take the hit from the Land Rover and then fall back down to the street. So that was a hard hit on his part. So good on you, Paul Heesman. Then we had, oh man, I don't know if I'm going to pronounce this one right, guys. Georges Cote. Georges Cote was the Aston driver. So he was the guy that got to do those amazing slides in front of the tanks and going down the road and bombing it in that beautiful Aston Martin. We had Jean-Claude Hobart. We had Dominic Julien did the jump onto the Land Rover. He doubled Timothy for the actual jump down right before he said, "Hold on, you're dead." Simon Crane was actually the guy that did the shot with the legs. So the guy who pulls his legs in just before the tunnel, that was good old Simon. So he gets the Balls of Steel award on that one. We had Michelle Julienne, Remy Julienne, Jean-Claude Justice, Jean-Jacques Villan, Eddie Kidd, Brigitte Magnin, Christian Beauchamp, and Joe Cote. So I am completely dismantling those names again. I'm not getting the French pronunciations. I apologize to all the French JBR listeners. You can laugh at me later, but that is the stunt team. Okay, guys. So we already talked about the Land Rover. Let's talk about the Aston. So we have an 87 Aston Martin V8 Volante that actually is a Vantage as well earlier in the movie where they have, I'm not sure which is which. Do you know, guys?
The Volante is a drop top. The Vantage is a hard top. Yeah.
So it's convertible. And then we're just winterizing this and they put the hard top on. It's pretty cool. But it was a V8 with 380 horsepower. So now we're getting into big boy territory here. A lot of displacement. I know you guys know the license plate number. What do you got? Hit it. What do you got?
You know, Tommy?
Go on, Chris.
B Woo, and it's 547. Is it B547?
549, isn't it?
No, B549. Yeah, B549 WUU.
That's it.
Yes.
Yeah, out of the park, Chris. That's it, man. B549. Woo. WUU. Because that's what you'd say when you drove that thing. Police band radio, in-hub laser cutter, heads-up display, forward-firing missiles, bulletproof glass, dual outriggers, spiked tires, rocket motor, and a self-destruct system.
Not bad.
All the things that's, fun for a man on holiday.
I remember my dad taking the piss out of me in years gone by saying, with this film, I was like, how did they know he was going to need all of those gadgets? They put all the gadgets on and he's used every single one of them. How did they know he's going to use all of them? And my response was always just, because he just does, all right? And that was it.
He does.
Yeah, no argument needed. He just does.
Because James Bond, Dad.
Yeah.
Stop overthinking it. So again, hilariously, he's being chased by a 1977 Lada. It's a 1500 and 1600 version. They had an inline 4 with a whopping 71 horsepower. But although it was, laughable, it was realistic because in that time, behind the Iron Curtain, that's what cops were driving. That's what was realistically what those cops were driving. So Bond would have had a field day outrunning those cars. He probably didn't have to deploy any gadgets. You just hit the gas and those cars are going to be in the dust. But, cannon fodder for Bond as he gets to, destroy a few of them. Then we have a 1985 Steyr Pandur 6x6. That's that big tank that we see roll up on him and shoot at him just as he's making that beautiful skid turn down the snowy road. And then a Raytrack SR Snowcat. That's the one that all the soldiers are lined up, 4 wide, shooting their AKs and they're bouncing. I mean, how fun would that have been too? And it's got the tracks just throwing snow. Very cool stuff through there. And that's it, guys. That's soup to nuts. Everything about about the living.
So what's
daylights.
your
Well,
rating
I'm
for
gonna-
this one then, Russ?
I got to go 10 on 10. I mean, that goes without saying. I love it. I love it.
Yeah,
I'm with you on that.
same here. I was going to say that. Just absolute 10 out of 10. Knock it out of the park. Great.
You got it.
All right then. Well then, Ross, do you have a license to kill or be
I
killed
do.
for the next film?
Well, I would say, yeah, I do. License to kill. I'm on the fence with this chase for sure, because it's fun, it's cool, and it's epic. It's definitely epic. And again, the special effect, holy cow, these must be the biggest explosions I've ever seen in a movie. Like, they're just colossal. I mean, they're tanker trucks, so now we actually get to an explosion that would look like what that would be. So they were really spending a lot of the budget on blowing these things up with their Kenworths. But some interesting things about this, guys, is that they named the main picture trucks Pamela 1, 2, and 3, named after Pam Bouvier, the main Bond girl.
Of course.
So they're Pamela 1, 2, and 3. So this chase delves back deeply into the land of cheesy Bond, in my opinion, guys. It, you know, you're in for it when a sweet stunt like Simon Crane jumping out of an airplane and landing on top of the moving tanker is then followed immediately by bullet ricochet sounds that play the Bond theme. It's like,
Yeah,
oh,
baby.
guys, why did they do that? You know, but hey, you know, we're having fun. It's a Bond movie. Dad, don't think too much. It's a Bond movie.
To be
right?
fair though, I never noticed that back in the day. That's more of a recent development in my mind of knowing that that's a thing. When I was a kid watching that, I never noticed the Bond theme thing.
Yeah. Again, guys, I've said it before. I sound like a broken record, but the rear projection stuff is still nauseating on display here. It just makes most of the chase seem so studio based and cheapened, in my opinion. Just to have, you know, it was so shaky getting the insert shots that when you see, you know, Sanchez and Lodge sitting in the back of the car, it's all shaky behind them and they're not moving. They're just perfectly smooth. It's like, doesn't really line up, in my opinion. But you know, you got to shoot, you got to make your days. So I understand why they did it for sure. But a funny thing happened as I was gathering intel in this chase, guys, on the license numbers. And this is our favorite topic, right? Is the license numbers. I noticed something I've never noticed before. I must have seen this movie for 30 years and I've never noticed this, is an editing trick that they did that I can honestly say I've never noticed. It's really brilliant when you think about, oh man, we have a mistake. How do we remedy this? Let's do it in editing. Let's do it in post. There was a crash, and you guys all know it. It was clearly a mistake that they ended up cleverly disguising in the edit. It's when Bond approaches the first tanker to sideswipe it into the wall, the two trucks suddenly switch positions. Did you guys ever notice that?
I never noticed that, no.
So you'll notice that there's some green like bug shields right up by where the hood ornament would be on the front grille of the trucks. There's some bug shields to kind of show that this guy that's, you know, listening to his music with the big mustache, you know, he's having a good time. He kind of customized his truck a little bit, you know, because he's got some style. So those were on the front of his truck. And he said, when Sanchez comes up to him and says, you know, don't let Bond pass you. And then we see the two trucks switch positions as Bond tries to get around him. We see Bond look to his left as he stuffs the truck into the cliff wall. But if you look closely, you notice that the bug shields are on the left truck and not the right one. Okay, so they're on the truck that Bond is supposedly in. So that was the villain's truck, and Bond's truck hit the wall. And they go, oh, that was a mistake. He wasn't supposed to hit that. So in post, they made Timothy make a right, look left, side swipe, and it's just for a second, but the two trucks switch. But you'd never notice it because the editing was so clever.
Very nice.
So it's very cool. It's very cool stuff. So anyway, yeah, you can also see the mustache guy driving in the left truck, and also the license plate has switched as well. But regardless of all that, great editing though, as I've never noticed that before. But what follows is one of the best stunts ever, guys. Okay, even though this chase has its cheesy bits, like I said, every Bond movie, no matter how cheesy, they always find a way to have at least one or two moments in a chase or an action sequence just be like, oh man, jaw dropper, out of the park, come on. And that was where Gilbert Batal does a 5-wheeled ski move to dodge the missile. Okay, he stood that truck up on its side, on the sidewalls, and did a ski move, just like out of Diamonds Are Forever, in a tanker truck.
Yeah,
I mean,
baby.
how cool is this guy? So, which by the way, they slightly shortened the tanker trailer to accomplish this, because if it was super long, it'd be a little more squirrely. So they slightly shortened the trailer, but again, it's something you'd never notice. And we get the first of many amazing explosions in the sequence. I love that the classic moment is when he brings it back down perfectly, pancaking that Jeep. Like,
Great.
God, that's another one where I can rewind it 10 times and go, look at the, man, the timing. You can tell the Jeep is actually, like we said, bull pricked to the ground. So it's actually chained to a metal plate so it won't move. But man, that thing just squashes, you know, that was just the sheer weight of that truck was insane to see. But it always troubles me at the next part though, guys. You know, the next part where Bond slides his truck and it's hanging over the edge and the guys are shooting at him. Why the hell does Bond get out of the driver's side?
That's a good point.
That's a good point.
And then runs away. Just get out of the passenger side, Tim. Come on, man. You know, stay behind the truck. But hey, you know, and you're in a risky situation. You just got to do what you got to do, I guess. Luckily, they had stormtrooper aim, right, Tom? And
Absolutely. Amen to that.
was unscathed. But anyway, love how Pam saves him, though. I love how Pam swoops in, and what an amazing stunt pilot to come in there and drop that dust and hit those stuntmen standing on the road. Like, that was a really bitchin' moment right there. I love that, and how Pam is just so cool, how she gives him the old, there you go, Bond. Have a nice day. Like, she's badass. I really like Pam Bouvier. Then he sends the trailer down the hill, expertly timing it to set off yet another sweet kaboom. That is another really good explosion there. This is followed by something incredibly dumb, though, guys. I have to say, I'm so sorry if you enjoy this at home, but the truck wheelie, what is up with that? Like, a truck can't do that. You know, it suddenly bends its frame and oh man. But at least they covered up with some sweet Bond theme. You know, they didn't put any slide whistles or anything on it this time.
Yeah.
So, but
and I do like the way that he does up his window just to make sure.
yeah, that's definitely class. That's kind of a tie straightening that Pierce would always do for sure. Yep. So yeah, just you know, whoever thought that would be a big moment to put the Bond theme on, I don't know. But this is just you know, one of those things where a semi truck could never do that. It's without heavy modifications, and you can actually see the counterweight that they used. You know, right where the big kingpin would sit in the truck, there's actually a big counterweight and some hydraulic pistons, and you see the truck kind of rotating back. But hey, you know, it's like a monster truck show at this point. Let's just have fun with it, you know. Anyway, apparently, according to IMCDB, which is Internet Movie Car Database, which is where I do a lot of my research. The wheelie truck actually built for the film with the 1-ton counterweight was donated to the Oak Ridge Vocational School in Orlando, Florida. So if you're a Bond fan, if you're a JBR family that lives in Florida and you're near the Oak Ridge Vocational School, you can go see that truck. It's on display.
Nice. Sweet.
So that's pretty cool. Love how the pickup truck meets its end, though, flying off the cliff and narrowly missing the plane. Holy cow. Like, that's another one of those stunts that's not talked about. What an awesome stunt that was. Truck's all on fire and the plane had to dive underneath it. Like,
I like how you hear the change in tone of the plane's engine as well, where it's like and you really feel that panic of like trying to get out of the way. Yeah, that's an awesome moment.
Yeah, man, absolutely. Yeah, Indy would agree with you.
Yeah.
Yep. Also the crash at the end would have definitely killed both of them, but hey, it's Bond, okay? The best part of this chase are the massive explosions, and I just love it, man. I mean, it's very much akin to Indiana Jones, Raiders of the Lost Ark, you know, where Indy goes after the convoy. So it's got that kind of tone to it, which is cool. And, you know, I forgive the cheesy bits. I really do. You know, there's so many other things to love in this chase. The machete fight. Man, I mean, how scary is Sanchez in that moment when he busts out that machete and he cuts the brake line?
Very much
like,
so.
dude, that could have been Bond's leg right there, you know? Like, I don't want ever to have Sanchez coming after me, man. And again, it was Simon Crane up there, you know, doubling Bond and hanging onto the back of that thing and doing a dang good job of it. So I just want to highlight. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, no. I'll just go for it, man.
Yeah, I just wanted to, and again, give props to all these amazing, brave stunt people that worked on this. Arthur Wooster makes his swan song as the second unit director. Paul Weston yet again coordinates a really cool sequence. Remy Julienne, Dominic Julienne, Jean-Claude Hobert. Some familiar names at this point. They were really making a lot of cash. Well, palm lettuce off of Bond at that point in the 80s. Again, got to give a double shout out to Gilbert Batal, who did the Kenworth 2-wheel, or what would it be, a 5-wheel ski? Like, he gets the Steel Balls Award. Dieter Brule, Joe Cote, Simon Crane, Chick Bernhard, Kerry Lofton. The legend Kerry Lofton was involved. Larry Downs, and the pilot of that plane was none other than Corky Fornoff. Corky Fornoff got a little action again.
Jet.
There you go, the Acrostar pilot. So that's why it looks so cool. That's why it was in such close proximity, and it was barn burning, man. So really cool stunt piloting.
Beautiful
so that's
stuff.
the stunt team. The vehicles that were their trusty steeds, we had an 86 Dodge Ram V6 with 190 horsepower. No one probably really cares about this, but the license number was CBW834. We had a 1976 Jeep CJ7. That's the one that gets pancaked. That had an inline 6 with 90 horsepower. License number was GCT668. So, if you're at a cocktail party, you can have a stumper there if you like, guys. Then Sanchez's vehicle was an 87 Maserati Bi-Turbo 425i. It's actually a pretty quick little car, because it had a V6 with 190 horsepower, but it had twin turbos on it. That's why it means a bi-turbo. So it's a quick little machine. But that sucker's license number, you guys want to take a crack at Sanchez's car? When he's getting out the stingers? What did you know about stingers?
Go for it, man.
They are GLD 376. That is his license number. And the most famous vehicles of the whole movie are the 1989 Kenworth W900B tanker trucks. They had a turbocharged, I'm very proud to say this, a turbocharged Detroit diesel engine. And they had special modifications to the turbos that upped the 16 trucks from 625 horsepower to 1,000 horsepower.
Nice.
That's awesome. Yeah.
Beast.
And I got two license numbers off of those trucks. Would you guys like to take a crack at them?
Go for it.
That's one for the JBR family.
All right, JBR family, put your thinking caps on this one. We got the first truck, BSK 118, and the second truck was BZX 255. And now you can look for how those license plates swap back and forth right before they hit into the cliff.
Nice.
So there you go. And that is it.
What's your rating for License to Kill then, man? How does it go for you?
I would say just from the special effects and just if you watch the behind the scenes on this, guys, you know how trepidatious and how dangerous it was to film this thing. Like, they filmed on this Mexican road that was had a curse on it, like a bus full of nuns died on it, and all this weird stuff was going on. And if you listen to ever hear the story of Paul Weston's fire burn at the end, where he doubled Sanchez, and he actually had a full mask with an oxygen tank, and right before they called action, his oxygen ran out, and then they lit him up, and he was sitting there doing that whole take of Sanchez while holding his breath is astounding. So even though the cheesy bits bring it down some, I'd say it's a solid 7 on 10 for me.
Very nice. What about you, Chris?
I might even give it an extra notch up to an 8, just because I know the back projection is a little bit lame, that gets me, but I just think the tanker chase itself, it's so memorable, it's so good. It has got that indie truck sort of feel about it, which I love, and it's vicious, man. Like Bond and Sanchez, it's really hardcore. You got the jump from the plane onto the rooftop, which is fantastic, and yeah, there's a lot going on, lots of explosions. I'm going to give it an 8.
Nice.
Yeah, nice. I was going to say somewhere between the two, actually, like a 7 or an 8 for that. But yeah, very memorable chase there. And like you say, getting it up on the 2 wheels, or however many goddamn wheels that thing had, 5 wheels. Yes. Getting it up on 5 wheels, that for a beast that size, that is a very special thing. So yeah,
and I just love the sound design and the editing in that scene, because you see, again, we get the beep 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 beep, and Bond screwed, and then here comes the missile up on the wheels, and just after it goes by, and huge explosion again, which is really funny. The guy goes, oh, I love it. Boom. But anyway, I love the reaction shot, because you see the truck and you hear the sound design of the wheels going. It's coming down the road, but then it cuts back to the guy with the stinger, and he's like, oh my God. And I love how he does, like, should I go this wait, no, I'm going this way. And like just how all those guys scatter always makes me laugh.
Yeah.
But that is Bond, guys. That is what it's a little bit funny.
Yeah.
It's mostly super duper cool. And you got a big stunt on display. And that's what I love about it, is that the stunts to me make these movies what they are, and the special effects.
So that's Timmy put to bed then. So it's time for my man, Mr. Pierce Brosnan. I know he's your man too, Ross. So Goldeneye, oh baby, I do enjoy a bit of Goldeneye car chase action, even if I don't appreciate the soundtrack that happens during the chase. But, give me some of that action. What you got for me, Ross?
Well, hey, if Timothy's introduction was, 10 on 10, poor Pierce, I'm sorry he had to be introduced upside down in a men's bathroom stall. But anyway, he makes up for it by his introduction to his first car chase, because, my Lord, the DB5 is back. And tell me that isn't one of the coolest moments in the series that just tingles your nether regions there, Tom, where you hear, dun, 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 boom, and you come right out of the gun barrel onto flying down the road. You're on the front end of the DB5, and you're hearing that inline 6 just ripping down a French road.
Yeah, baby. Awesome. So the chances of a DB5 outrunning or keeping up with a Ferrari, I imagine, aren't particularly strong, but we can forgive that because it's
not gonna happen. But this is what I always thought, guys, is that everyone always says that she is not trying to outrun him.
Okay, fair enough.
Xenia is trying to toy with him. It's like a cat playing with a mouse before she eats it. She is not trying to outrun Bond in any way. She's just trying to flirt with him. That is automotive flirtation that we're seeing happening.
Just awesome. Ross, as a stuntman, have you ever been involved in automotive flirtation?
I'd like to say yes, but my wife is probably listening, so we'll say no.
Okay.
So again, this chase is short and sweet. Great to see the original DB5 back in action. The way they cut it from the title is brilliant. Driving here is very nice. It's Dominic Julienne back again, guys, with the slides on and off the road, handled with expert precision. What I love is that most of this is finally, I'll just go right there, is finally the first Bond chase with absolutely zero rear projection shots, guys. Nice. This is like every single shot on the car, mounted. We are on the chase. We're on the mission with him. There is no green screen whatsoever. It's great. And you can tell. Yeah. So it's great. It was all shot on location in France. You feel like you're really there. Although that old Aston Martin, it would never keep up, but we already covered that. And I think it's simply, just a fun chase. It's very memorable. And you nailed it already, Tom. The only bad part is the awful music. It's like, damn, Eric Senna. Like, I don't know what he was smoking, but I want some. Yeah. Because that was crazy music, man.
Indeed, it was. Just a quick update. I just got a text in from Dan Gale that says, I do not know.
Okay, so what was it? What vehicle was it?
That
guys?
That was a Land Rover.
The Land Rover. I'm going back. Let's see. Land Rover's license plate, guys, was 35KA42.
I'm going to tell him because he's
if you're taking notes at home.
There you go. 35KA42. He says, "How dare you rub my lack of perfection in my face?"
It's making us all stronger and nerdier Bond fans, guys.
Indeed, it is.
So there you go. So what a great chase on that on that first one, guys. Just outstanding. But I mean, the second chase of the movie is the most memorable, and that is the one that sticks in everybody's mind. But I have to say, just before we go away from the Ferrari chase, though, just Dominic Julienne, man, doubling for Xenia and driving that Ferrari, man, the driving on display, that the skid turns are exceptional. When he spins Xenia out and she does the full 360 when she sees the tractor, amazing. Which again is harkened back to, I think, in Die Another Day when the Jaguar spins out on the ice. But man, that's a cool bit. And the way it's shot, just they're tracking right alongside as the car's doing 360 after 360, and then he just gathers it right up, skid turn down the road. Like, that's brilliant wheel work there. And those Julienne guys, they must have gasoline in their veins, because that's some wheelman stuff right there. That makes another wheelman very, I wouldn't say jealous, but I appreciate that kind of driving.
Yeah.
But now we're getting into the tank chase, guys. Holy cow, this thing. And the best part, they told old Eric Serra to take a rest, and they got somebody else in there to go over the score. It was a very good call, because when that Bond theme kicks in and it's just the regular brass, and he comes through that wall, oh man,
so good.
Awesome, right?
Yeah.
Isn't that one of the best moments in the series?
That is, again, you have to suspend your disbelief, because I imagine one of those tanks doesn't go as fast as you see it on the screen. But yeah, man, that is a beautiful signature classic Bond moment. That is, awesome.
And it's something that you'd never see anywhere else. That is pure Bond, isn't it? Absolutely.
100%.
Tank chase.
Absolutely. And I have to say, the skid turn in the little black car right before the tank goes through the wall, that guy gets a high five from me, because if you mess that up, if you over rotate that skid turn, not only are you going to blow the shot, you're probably going to get pancaked by a tank coming at you. You have to nail that skid turn, man. So he did a good job gathering that car up and straightening it out. For that take, that was great.
Yeah.
Because it was a oneer, right? I think it was a oneer. I believe it was Gary Powell, right? Gary Powell was the guy that drove the tank, and he had to back that thing up like an entire mile to get it up to speed behind that wall, to get enough speed to go off the ramp and through the bricks. So really cool stuff. Yep. One of the all-time greatest chases of the series, very memorable, carnage and destruction, all punctuated by Pierce straightening his tie at the end, man. I love that stuff, man. That's what my dad pointed out, Tom, is that's what he loved about Pierce, is he said that's the fantasy of Bond, is that you can blow up the room and then not a hair is out of place, and then you go get in your sports car and you sip a martini and you don't even have a bead of sweat on your brow. Like, we know that's fake. We know that when they called cut, the stunt guy's got big pools of sweat under his suit. But it's the fantasy of it that we all go to see it for. We love that. So very cool stuff. I love the tie straighten. The stunts on show here are absolutely astonishing. The men, let's talk about this, guys. The men flipping off the side of the Jeep as it explodes and crashes into the water. Now, after they go into that alley and the tank absolutely obliterates the entire alley behind Oromov's car, he takes a hard left, and the Jeeps following him come through at speed, and they just get schnocked off the end of that. They go into the river. They do a pipe ramp off the other Jeep, and the guys just get catapulted off the front of that into the water. What a cool stunt is that?
Yeah, that is
Use
awesome.
a bumper. That's what it's for.
Yeah, dude. Yeah. I say that all the time. Yeah. Use a bumper. That's what it's for. And those guys too, my God, if you watch those guys that get tagged on the bridge by Oromov's car, one guy does a car hit, does a full flip off the side of the bridge and lands in the water. Like, what a cool stunt to have on your reel, right?
Yeah.
To have on your show reel. By God. And nobody talks about it. They're just like, oh yeah, the tank. This poor guy got jacked off a bridge, man.
He gets overshadowed, that fella.
Yeah, awesome. So just cool stuff. The cars sliding, the crashing, being totally pancaked by the tank, bananas. This is an all-time great right here. Beautifully shot and executed. Great call on the rescore as well. Again, having the proper Bond theme gives the scene a punctuation it otherwise wouldn't have had with Eric Serra's score. Great all around, guys. Great all around. I mean, even when they get into the cheesy Bond territory, when he hits the statue, the statue is now riding on the top. There's just something iconic about that, like the guys on his horse with the sword pointed straight ahead, like, let's go get him, Bond. It just works for a Bond movie, So great stuff. Great stuff there.
Big time. Very memorable too.
I love the fact that he actually slides the tank as well.
Oh, yes. Thank you for saying that. The skid turn in the tank. And again, that was Gary Powell, man. He came by, locked that thing up, and slid the tank. When do you ever see a tank skid turn in a movie? Come on. Great stuff. So just going through, I'm going to run down the cars real quick to get us out of here. We got the 1964 beautiful silver birch Aston Martin DB5, the inline 6 with 282 horsepower. This time, Tom pointed out, the license number has switched from BMT 216 to BMT 214A. So the eagle-eyed JBR family probably noticed and picked up on that as well. Who knows why that happened?
I used to know what that was all about now. I remember reading something about it, and it's escaped my aging brain. It's let that information go. So it's out there. Google it, everybody at home, if you're curious, because that info is out there somewhere.
Yeah. Google eyes now. Google eyes.
Yeah.
And then the gadgets on the DB5, you remember, are a champagne cooler.
Very nice.
Which you need. and for seducing susceptible agents, and a digital printer that comes out of the CD player. And remember, Moneypenny talks to him and has a digital printer. It's pretty cool. And then the Ferrari F355 GTS, badass car, 3.5 liter V8 with 381 horsepower. The license number. Anybody want to take a shot?
Nope.
No, it's gone.
It's a long one. But do you know the line that Bond says to her in the casino about the license numbers?
Oh, shit.
The French registration plates on this year's model begin with the letter L. You should tell that to your employer, right? Yeah, even the counterfeit ones, I believe he says. Such a badass. Yeah. And but it's 437 NAC 75. Bond picked up on that. Yeah. So that's pretty cool, even in all that adrenaline-filled chase. And like GoldenEye, saving the Bond franchise, this is the car that saved Ferrari. That's kind of an interesting note, guys, as Ferrari was having some dire straits, and this car sold so well in the mid-90s that Ferrari came roaring right back.
Wow.
So there you go.
They used one in the Rock as well, didn't they? Yellow version in the Rock.
Exactly. Yeah. Yep. We could talk about that chase on another show, but yeah, then we got, this is funny, the KHPZ T54 tank, which they nicknamed Metal Mickey. Nice. So Metal Mickey was a 12-cylinder, 4-stroke diesel with 581 horsepower, and it actually had a registration number 343.
Wow, how about that? Do you know that's sitting in a ditch somewhere in England, isn't it? Did you remember that, Chris? That somebody found it, tracked it down. It's sitting in like an old airport in the corner or something like that. It's just literally sitting out there on its own in a field somewhere, covered in moss and crap and all the rest of it.
Let's go and rescue it, Tommy.
And yeah, somebody needs to, man. That's a key iconic piece of Bond history there. I think it's like over in Norwich, somewhere on the east coast of the UK somewhere. It's just sitting there apparently in a field on somebody's property.
Very cool.
But yeah, that's a proper relic.
You guys still hear me? There you are. So so interesting side note, if you're a fan of tanks, you know a little bit about tank knowledge. Chris Corbold's team bought 2 50s era Soviet tanks, 2 T-54s and 1 T-55, and they converted them to look like T-80s. So that was all Greek to me, but if you're a big fan of tanks, that's pretty cool stuff to know. They're chasing a 1992 GAZ 31029 Volga, and probably because it's very Volga looking, but that's that little black car that Ormov is in, and that's an inline 4 with 99 horsepower, license number 0594 AEA. They also are in the chase. They're pursued by 1986 UAZ 3151. That's the Russian Jeep that makes an appearance in almost, I think, all 4 of the Pierce Brosnan Bond movies. Had a 2.5 liter, 4-cylinder, 71 horsepower engine. License numbers on those two were 245 AF and 2259 AF. And then finally, last but not least, we have a 1986 VAZ 2106. Oh God, I don't even know if I can do this, guys. Zhiguli. A Zhiguli.
Very nice.
They had some funny names on their cars. Inline 4 with 78 horsepower, and there's a bunch of license plate numbers. Those were the cop cars that were chasing them in downtown St. Petersburg. But they got that beautiful pile up in the explosion. Just amazing. A lot of license numbers there, but I'm not going to bore you with that. So there you go, guys. That's GoldenEye.
Give me your score, Ross.
Oh, it's got to be 10 on 10, man. 10 on 10. The music might take it down to like 9.5 for the first one, but it's got to be 10 on 10 for the tank.
Yeah, well, I would say
same with you, Tommy.
Yeah, 9.5 for the music, but that obviously doesn't. That's not the chase. But again, what a perfect way to introduce a new Bond. Do you know what I mean? Like we were saying about Daylights coming out of the title sequence like that into a banging chase. First time you've seen Bond in a DB5 since Thunderball. You know, first time in 30 years, man. What a special moment that was. And the fact that he's being smooth as fuck as well during that chase, it just really pleases me. Yeah. Well, that's the Bond I want to be, you know, right there in that car.
Also, Tom, did you notice he gave the Roger Moore nod from For Your Eyes Only? When he first sees Zen, he looks and he goes,
did. Yeah.
He gives the look, dude. He does it.
Yeah.
Very suave. And also wearing a cravat the whole time. Like, I just don't know if I could pull that off.
Yeah.
Makes it, you know, just like Felix Leiter says in Thunderball, on you, everything looks good.
Absolutely.
You know?
Nice.
So there you go. But yeah, there you go, guys.
Right. Next up then, your favorite Bond film, Ross. I bet, now, is there a car chase in this one? I can't remember.
Oh man, it's awesome, and it just makes me smile every single time, guys. The old BMW. But I know now that by this point in the series, that a lot of Bond purists were getting kind of miffed that Bond did not have an Aston and that he was in BMWs. But at least they kind of they cut that with having him have the DB5. He still had the DB5 in this one, as you remember, rolling into the Secret Service headquarters there, which made it very cool. To that twangy guitar of Mr. David Arnold making his debut here. And that's what makes this chase. If you just listen to that chase on YouTube or find it somewhere, it's the what is the name of it, Chris? You know the name of the track that's on the car chase?
Backseat Driver.
Backseat Driver. Oh my God. Play that in your car. If you're in your car right now, just hit pause on the podcast and play Backseat Driver. If your speed does not increase by at least 20 miles per hour, then something's wrong. It is a cool song. But yeah, this is a fun chase, guys. They actually use 17 750 IL BMWs for this sequence. It was all shot on the 4th level. This is for our British JBR family. If you'd like to go see this location, it was the 4th level of the parking garage at Brent Cross Shopping Center, and they shot it in June of 1997. So if you want to go see what was really cool about the scene, again, guys, I love the editing that they play around with in chases. This was all shot on one level of the parking garage. They never went up or down, even though they simulate that in the movies. They just stayed on that same level, and they changed the numbers and reconfigured the cars every time. So it's really cool movie magic. I love that. But it's an all-time classic, guys, to me. It really is. Very memorable with the remote control and Bond's cell phone. Like, he's the backseat driver, man. He's back there. He's having a good time with it. I love how at one point Pierce smiles when, he reinflates his tires. He's having fun, man. Yeah, we're having fun because he's having fun. This car really made up for the fact also, guys, I'm sure you would agree with me, that the Z3 was such a lame car, like in GoldenEye did nothing. You're going to tease us with Stinger missiles and then you're not going to use them. Like, come on, man. Right. So this one fully got to use its arsenal, which was really nice. And it makes up for it in spades, I think. But plus everyone always slates this BMW as not being Bondian enough. But I have to also defend this car's honor a little bit, guys, because you have to remember what James Bond's cover story was in his cover for going to Germany was he was a banker, right?
It's a good point. It's a good point. Yeah.
A banker wouldn't drive a sweet, Aston Martin or something. He'd be drawing too much attention to himself. He would drive a very, banker looking BMW 750. That's actually a sleeper and can completely smoke you. And it's got tons of gadgets on it. I love that. That is what a spy should do. He should have an inconspicuous vehicle, right? So there you go. I'm defending the BMW 700. So I love the stunt driving here with plenty of good slides and burnouts because those cars had plenty of power. Now what I love, guys, is the rest of the chases here. These cars really can perform and dance. They got lots and lots of power. There are a couple of continuity errors in that Bond has 12 missiles, but only shoots only one at the Opel. And by the way, he blows the living shit out of that car. Like, it slides back. He does an endo. It's sweet. But he shoots only one. Then when the missiles open again to blast the steel door, he's only got 2 left. So I don't know where the other missiles went, but what happened to the other 9? I don't know. Also, the wheels are clearly different when they reinflate. It goes from the high performance wheels to like the stock wheels. And I think all that is because the high performance wheels are what we call low profile. So the sidewall of the tire is very thin. So if they would have reinflated that, it would have been this much and it probably wouldn't have registered on camera. So they go, well, let's put the stock wheels on. The hub is a lot smaller and the sidewall is a lot thicker. So when they reinflate, it goes a longer distance. So it registers on camera more. So, and it goes by so fast. I'm sure most people didn't even notice, but I notice. Anyway, other than that, this is just a good old cracking car chase, and I love it very, very much, as you can tell, because it got me into Bond, guys. This is where young Ross, 15-year-old Ross was just spazzing out watching this chase. This is the first Bond that I went back to the theater to see like 7 times in a row, and brought all different sects of my family. I dragged them to go see this movie. And again, guys, look at this. the gunman in the black sedan. Make a
Hey,
triumphant
again.
return
He's
right
back
there, huh?
Again.
Yes. They're back. No rear projection at all. All the firepower on display is amazing. I love the car's voice, how it's the female voice. She's very, just if you can say that Pierce has chemistry with a car, this is the movie that you can say that in. At the ending as well is classic with, again, Pierce straightening up his suit, strutting off like the boss that he is, baby. Okay. Pierce was in his prime right then, and he was the business. Okay.
Absolutely.
And the fact that he launched the car into the Avis rental car shop, that is awesome.
Awesome, man. Awesome. And he kind of laughs there too, like, ha, like, I guess I returned the car for you,
He
cute.
does that little sort of flourish, doesn't he, with his hand as he's holding the remote. Yeah.
Yeah,
It's
it's kind of like he blows her a kiss, like,
Yeah.
goodbye, my sweet, Awesome.
beautiful stuff. So give me your rating then, Ross.
Oh, what do you guys think? Is there an 11? Can I give it an 11?
Nice.
10
For
out
this
of
one you can have, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm on for 10 on
Yeah.
this one. I really, really enjoy this one.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
Nice.
Very
Solid.
cool stuff, guys. So let me just take a quick look here, because there is a second chase in this movie, and it is the motorcycle chase being chased by the Land Rovers.
Of course it is.
Okay, so we'll touch on that real quick. This chase is a lot of fun, if a bit cheesy at times. How the helicopter stays in one spot, even though it's tilted forward, which is physically impossible. The fake arm sleeve thing. Do you guys know about the fake arm sleeve thing? I mean, you have to have covered this in one of your other shows.
That
About how
rings a bell. Yeah, what was
Pierce
that?
had a blue shirt and Waylon had a red shirt, and they had like this sleeve that made it look like it was Waylon's arm, but it was actually Pierce's.
Right.
And that's one of those things when you see it, you can't unsee it,
Right.
because it's like a false sleeve here, and so Michelle could actually put her arm into Pierce's shirt, and then it looked like her arm, her shoulder going like this, and then the rest of the arm was Pierce's arm.
Uh-huh.
And there's only a couple of shots where it's used, but once you see it, I think it's where he's saying, get out of the way, day bow, or whatever he's saying in the, to get people to vamoose out of the way. You'll notice it, and it's kind of troubling, but it's exciting to watch. It's still a fun chase. The continuity errors with the Black Rovers a little bit sometimes, but all in all, it's fast paced, it's action packed, and it's exciting. Also, I love to see the teamwork between Bond and Wei Lin. It's really cool. This is where you see their relationship start to develop, and not enough is said about Michelle Yeoh. I think Michelle Yeoh is one of the most capable Bond girls that's ever been. She was part of Jackie Chan's stunt team, and man, I really enjoyed her as a Bond girl. She just really could actually do what she was meant to do. Like when she had that whole kung fu fight in the headquarters, you believe it, because that's actually her up there throwing those kicks, and she was great. It starts off. Hey, no more barking! Stop it, Indy. Knock it off. Sorry, guys. Sorry. He's very passionate about Tomorrow Never Dies, as you can tell as well. We have debates like this all the time, especially when I've been drinking. I like how it almost starts off as a pissing contest, right? Like who's the better agent? Like, no, we'll take this bike. No, I'm driving. Who's driving? But then as the chase goes on, you see them work together, and they start to bond, for lack of a better term, and they do it and they get it done together. So by the end of it, when they're in the shower, they're kind of looking at each other long and admiring each other's skills. And I love that, guys. And not enough to say, they say, oh, there's no chemistry between him and Wei Lin. Watch the motorcycle chase. There's chemistry. Indy, no more barking. Okay.
That's a good point. Great jump as well. Great leap over the helicopter. Absolutely fantastic.
Yes, Jean-Pierre Goy, and yes, you got it. He's coming. Yeah, it's great. There's character development in a chase scene. That's amazing. Love the huge jump. That was my next line right there, Chris. And it's a trailer-worthy stunt as the BMW chase, as is with the BMW chase with David Arnold's score. It's the best we've heard in years. Love his music in the entire film. They just crushed it. So there you go. And yeah, let's talk about that jump. Let's talk about Jean-Pierre Goy a second, because this man is like the guy for motorcycles, up bang on to date here. He was the guy that drove the Bat Pod in The Dark Knight, and several of really amazing chase sequences. He's going to pop up again in our list here. But just an amazing stud of a guy. I remember Andy Armstrong telling a story about how he was walking down the street one day, and he had hired Jean-Pierre on a movie, and he was just looking at his sides, and he was thinking about the next scene, and he heard a crunching behind him, and he turned around, and it was Jean-Pierre, engine off, doing an endo on his motorcycle about 1.5 inches behind him as he was walking out. Oh, hey boss, how you doing? And like that was his, comfort zone, was doing stuff like that. So yeah, amazing. And there are no blades on the helicopter to keep it safe. We didn't want to have minced Jean-Pierre. So it was just no blades at all. They were CGI, and he went into a box rig, but he did it in one take. And
that's a heavy bike as well. That's not like one of your light scramblers. This is a full-on heavy machine, isn't it?
You got it. It's a cruiser, right? It was the BMW, the cruiser. And so, yeah, the suspension wasn't as built up as it would be on a dirt bike or a scrambler. And so, yeah, to do a jump like that is ballsy. So definitely Jean-Pierre gets the Steel Balls Award on this one as well. But yeah, guys, there you go. There you have it. But the stunt team, I would love to throw some credit to. This is where Vic Armstrong comes in as the second unit director. Okay. Oh my God, you guys, did I skip the stunt team on Goldeneye? I think I did. Did I mention the stunt team on Goldeneye?
Don't know.
Can't remember.
Don't worry about it.
My God,
throw a bit down if you want to. It's all good.
I can't believe it, because I was going to say Ian Sharp was the second unit director on that. Simon Crane got to be the stunt coordinator on Goldeneye, and he did very, very well. Remy Julienne, Dominic Julienne, Maryline Lebec, Christophe Vaison, Gary Powell in the tank, Steve Griffin, and Ray DeHaan. Ray DeHaan was on Goldeneye. He makes a triumphant return right here in Tomorrow Never Dies. So Ray DeHaan is the guy that did the blind driving on the BMW. So he laid down in that car, and he had lipstick cameras on the wing mirrors, and he was actually laying down looking at monitors on the floorboards of the BMW, and he said it gave him kind of motion sickness from time to time. But that's how they got it done. That's how they made the car look like it was driving itself. That was Ray DeHaan.
Sweet.
But yeah, good man. Vic Armstrong's there, second unit directing. Dickie Beer steps up as the stunt coordinator on this one. Jean-Pierre Goy doing that amazing trailerific jump. Wendy Leach / Armstrong was Waylon Double. She was on the bike, riding on the bike. Michael Scott Law, Mark Southworth was the Pierce double, and Steve Griffin. And that rounds out the stunt team on Tomorrow Never Dies. And I'm so sorry for skipping over Goldeneye.
All right.
I'm so excited about the tank.
I'm sure they won't mind.
No worries.
Yeah. Oh, of course not.
Nicely done. All right. Well, it's not enough. There's no car chase.
That's correct. We can. Yeah, there is a great boat chase, as you know. It's one of those things where they just ran out of budget, probably, or they just were like, yeah, we don't really need a chase. But they did have the Z8. What's that?
Just chop the car in half and be done
Chop
with
it
it.
in half.
Yeah.
Be done. Yeah, it actually wasn't a BMW. It was a 2000 BMW Z8 prototype, but it actually had a 350 cubic inch Chevy V8 in it, with the Trimec 5-speed manual, and it had Jaguar suspension. So it looked like a Z8, but it really wasn't. So chopping it in half, we don't have to be too upset about. So, and yeah, had some titanium armory, multitasking heads-up display, STA missiles, surface-to-air missiles, and remote control, just like the other car.
Nice.
Nice.
Yeah, car styling was based off the BMW 507, which was really cool. Yeah.
Sweet.
So there you
All
go,
right, then.
guys.
So
did we rate? Yeah, did we get license number? I just want to see if you guys got the license number for the 750 BMW. Anybody want to take a crack?
Yeah, BMT 2144.
That's it.
Very nice.
Nailed it.
Good.
They're all
Skills
so
checks.
similar, those ones. If you've
I
only
know,
got
I
to think
know.
about one digit, it's all right.
Yeah.
I know. Yeah, it's crazy. But there you go, guys. So yeah, we can move right ahead if you like. Go
So-
right to
Leapfrogging
Tom's
over the
favourite
world is not
film?
enough. We're going straight to Casino Royale, I believe. Isn't that the next one? We just go straight there.
roll the ugliness.
Yeah.
Let's talk about it.
All right, die another day.
yeah.
Give it to me. What you got for me?
It's even though the Bond movie not as solid, they always find a way to have highlights. And honestly, I think that the car chase on the ice was very creative, and it's a highlight of the movie, and it's enjoyable to watch. Albeit the weird editing, the speed ramps and stuff like that were a little jarring, and I don't think it fit in a Bond movie. It was still fun to watch, and I still enjoy the chase. Just the driving alone. I mean, they're doing these huge all-wheel drive power slides around this ice. It's so much fun. Chase was very creative.
The bit I like, there's the one bit that makes me smile is when he's on the roof and he does the ejector seat and flips over. And you get that grin from Pierce as he does the flip, and I do like that. That's a nice moment.
You got it. You got it. And also, I got to say, even though Scaramanga gets the award for having the first villain gadget car, Zhao's Jag actually gets, to be a gadget car too in this one. And it's really cool to see a car that's as armament laden as Bond's car going toe to toe with his car.
Don't forget Whisper. Don't forget Whisper's Pimpmobile with the dart gun.
Hey, there you go. Whisper didn't have the dart. Good call. Good call on that. But to have the full-on accoutrement, missiles, machine gun, it had a minigun for Christ's sake, mortars in the trunk, shooting at Bond like, Bond should have been dead in 5 minutes, but just from his driving and from the gadgets that he had, he kept up and he evaded him, which is really cool to see. So I really like this chase. It's fun. Some amazing stunt driving on display here from the two guys that drove the cars. That would be George Cottle. He was doubling for Zhao. He had the skull cap on, and he was the poor sod who drew the short stick and had to be in the convertible in Iceland. How cold must that have been for him driving that car? But he was chasing down Jim Dowell, who drove the Vanquish. As well as Ray DeHaan. Ray DeHaan helped a little bit as well. They kind of tag teamed on it. Vic Armstrong was the second unit director again, and Adam Curley made his debut on this movie. He comes into Bond prominence
in the next one
and becomes a legend later on in the Bond movies. You got it. The next movie, but yeah, it's they slide around. It's fun. There's some amazing stunt driving. Cottle was also the lucky bastard who got to drive the Tumbler in all 3 Christopher Nolan Batman movies. So George Cottle, and now he's actually second unit directing his own movie. So George has had a very fine career. On this show, however, old George must have been freezing because he was in that convertible, but it's very cool to see how they converted all the cars to 4-wheel drive to get them to handle like they did. It's easily the most ambitious Bond car chase to date. The only things that bring it down a peg for me, besides the invisible stuff, we won't really talk about that, are the music, which seems a bit too modern for its own good, even though I love me some David Arnold. It's a bit too club trance Moby-esque stuff that just doesn't really do it for me. And the all too obvious speed ramps in the editing, which again make it feel un-Bond-like and dated. But other than that, I applaud all the filmmakers for delivering such a huge highlight in the otherwise laughable film. And if you want to watch a good behind the scenes on this one, guys, it's called Shaken and Stirred on Ice. That's a good documentary about this. How you see how they put Ford Explorer transmissions into the cars and Ford V8s to power them. So it's really cool. And you'll see some awesome crashes that didn't end up in the movie as well. They almost went right into the lake and sunk one of the Aston Martins and ripped the whole rear, drivetrain right off the back. So it's fun to watch.
Dangerous stuff.
But, but we have a 2002 Aston Martin Vanquish 5.9 liter V12 with 460 horsepower, but the actual engine was a Ford 302 V8 with 4-wheel drive. Anybody want to take a crack at that license plate?
I think I got it. Tommy, what do you?
Go on, Chris, because I haven't got a hope in hell.
KE02EWW.
EU. Just like we said to the movie in general. You got it. Fully bulletproof, remote control, adaptive camouflage, thermal imaging, ejector seat, forward firing torpedoes, machine guns, target seeking shotguns that I guess was really hard for for Q to say in that scene, and traction spikes. Being chased by a 2002 Jaguar XKR. Here we go, where the Jag is the villain car. Makes me laugh. Supercharged 4-liter V8 with 400 horsepower. That again was actually that old Ford 302 V8. Anybody know Zhao's license plate number? Does the JBR family know that?
Does it start with an O?
It does.
That's the only thing that I remember.
Yeah.
It doesn't really help.
It's OR203, and you will be fully forgiven for not remembering things about this movie. But it had thermal imaging, a minigun, forward-firing rockets, door-mounted missiles, trunk-mounted mortars, and front blades. I guess you need ramming blades. And then there was 2002 Ski-Doo MXZ Revs, or three of them. Sorry, three of them. But yeah, they had four of each car, guys. Four of each car built, so that they could, get out there and trash them. And they actually, in the trunk, they had these emergency cushions that would actually inflate to keep the car from sinking to the bottom of the lake had it gone through the ice. So really, it was a marvel of engineering that they did that chase, guys, in the real location. That whole thing could have been studio based, but the fact that they actually went out to Iceland, and fun fact, they actually shot it on the same frozen lake where they shot A View to a Kill several years earlier.
Really?
Is super cool. Yeah.
Sweet. Nicely done. So give us your rating then, Ross. Give us your Die Another Day rating.
Great driving, cheesy chase. I give it probably a 5 on 10.
All right. Chris?
I think if you just include the ice portion of it, I'd give it a 6 towards 7, but I really don't like the bit where the chase goes into the ice palace. It loses it for me there. So I think a 5, halfway point 5.
Yeah, I'm going to give it a solid 3. That's going to be my score.
Yeah. Not
Yeah.
surprising, Tommy.
Yeah.
Not surprising.
Sorry, everybody. It's just
Yeah.
Well,
Hey,
actually, if we include the invisibility thing, I'll drop it
it's a
down.
hard
as well.
one. Yeah.
Well, what warms the cockles of my heart, though, guys, is that there's some I would say younger generation Bond fans that I guarantee this was their first Bond movie, and so it really has a fond place in their heart. So for all you Bond fans out there that like Die Another Day, we applaud you.
We salute you. Yeah.
Got to be somebody out
We've
there
heard
that
from a
likes
few,
that
haven't we,
movie.
Tom?
It just may not.
We certainly have. Yeah, they are definitely out there. Yeah, there's not many of them, but they are definitely out there. That's for sure. Yeah, nicely done.
Good for them.
Righty ho, then it's time for the classic, maybe the best Bond film ever made, 2006's Casino Royale. So what you got for us, Ross?
Guys, this is, I'm just going to say it, it's my favorite Bond movie. I think so far it's the best Bond movie made because it perfectly married, the cinematic and the novellic Bond just in a great way. So amazing chases on show here for our display here, guys. The first chase, and this is a very cool thing here, guys, is that I was researching this for you guys a little while back, and I wanted to know who was driving the tanker truck in the first chase scene in the airport. So I reached out to none other than Gary Powell. And Gary was kind enough. I have to say, if you're out there, Gary, if you're hearing this right now, thank you so much for actually responding to, just a guy like me. But he responded to my message and he told me who was driving that tanker truck. And it was Mr. Lee Morrison.
Okay,
so if
nice.
you're wondering who did the amazing reverse 180 in the J-turn in a tanker truck, my God, it was the man, the myth, the legend, Mr. Lee Morrison. So that's a pretty cool factoid. And thank you, Gary, for helping me research that. But yeah, it was a cracking good chase in this one, guys. It reminds me of the frantic truck chase again from Raiders of the Lost Ark. It's so suspenseful the entire time because this new rookie version of Bond, we don't know if he's going to make it yet, right? Like he's not Pierce. He's not the guy that's going to save the day. Like we don't know how this is going to go down. It's on his first mission here. So you're never really sure if he's going to save the day or not. I love that. The stunt driving here is what really lights my pilot, guys. Okay. This is what I really enjoy to see. Lee Morrison doing the reverse 180 in the tanker is so sick that it just could not have been easy. Okay. I've done several of these in cars, and just to get the weight transfer and the timing just right is hard, but to do it on such a long wheelbase and such a heavy truck, like that truck had to weigh more than 27,000 pounds easy. And for him to do that on a long wheelbase, wet down or not, that was a big highlight of the chase for me. Very cool from a stunt driving perspective. So Lee, great job, buddy. Then they scrape along the side of that airplane tug, and they both spin out and do 180s. That's superb driving too. Whoever's driving that airplane tug with those big wheels on it, and he does a 180 in that thing, only in a Bond movie, man. That is so cool, superb. I didn't know vehicles of that size can make maneuvers like that. This is just an outstanding chase in all regards, and it's fun to see Bond getting chased by the police again. This is the first time in a long time that the cops are after him.
Mhm.
So and they don't, they crash a little bit, but they definitely did the courtesy of not having them go full Keystone Cops in this one. So yeah, they crash, but it's pretty realistic, which is nice.
Yeah, absolutely.
So there you go. What we had there, guys, was we had a 1989 International 4000 series tanker truck. It had a diesel V8 with 194 horsepower, and it actually has a pretty simple license number on it. Do you guys know what it is?
No.
No.
Jet A. So he's at the airport, so it's Jet A. Being chased by a car that I own, the Ford Crown Victoria Police Interceptor. There's 3 of them. It had a 4.6 liter V8 with 224 horsepower. The license number on those is 749537 and 295728, and one 1995 four Ford Explorers. They just had some Ford Explorer SUVs. Those had 4-liter V6s with 160 horsepower. I don't think I got the license number on those. But great chase, guys. Great chase. Another really memorable Bond moment with the moments I already mentioned, but also busting through the transport.
I was just about to say that. That's such a good bit, isn't it?
Let's hope was empty. It's like, Bond, you just killed like 30 people, dude. But yeah, and then really the bit that really sticks out in my mind is the gag where they drive across the runway with that big old jet hitting the jet engines, and it blows that Crown Vic right off the ground and goes flying. That was not CGI. The plane might have been, but the car actually flying and hitting right near camera was all. They used big cranes and cables to pull that car up and flop down right in front of the camera. So that was really cool.
That's cool, man. Wicked.
Yep. And then they jump the truck too. At the end, they hit those cars in the roadblock. They jump it over. Like, God, that chase just rocks. It just fires on all cylinders. That chase just kept opening up for me, and it was so good. And again, Lee Morrison, you're the man, dude. Like, what a cool gig. So there you go, guys. So what are your thoughts on that chase there? There's a second chase in this movie, but what do you guys think about the tanker?
I really like the part as well where he legs it up the skywalk and leaps off onto the roof of the tanker truck as it's going past that. That's freaking awesome as well.
Dude,
that's a really
amazing,
nice moment.
Amazing.
Talking about timing, that where he's on the floor and he's rolling, like you get that top down aerial view and he's rolling out of the way just as it comes steaming past. It's like split second. Yeah, that's a great one.
Yeah. So cool. Yeah. So cool. Which actually could have been if I was the coordinator, it probably was most likely a plate shot, which means that they shot all, the 2 portions separately, where you have Bond rolling with nothing there, and then you have the trucks sideswiping, and then in editing, you can marry them together.
Okay, trickery.
The safest way to do that is
looks
another
good,
little smoke and mirrors for you guys, but it looks so good. It looks so good. So there you go, guys. Stunt team on this one, Alexander Witt was the second unit director. Mr. Gary Powell steps up as coordinator, and he'll do almost all of the Daniel Craig legacy here, everyone but No Time to Die. Mr. Bean Cook, I call him that because I got to meet him and Daniel on Cowboys and Aliens, and it was so much fun meeting these 2 guys. And I kept making Ben really nervous by calling him. I go, "Hey man, you're the real James Bond." Shut up, mate. I want to keep my job. Okay, shut up. Don't let Daniel hear you. But yeah, Ben Cook did a lot of phenomenal stunt work in this movie. He did a lot of the crane jumps. I'm not sure if he was the one that actually did the jump off the jetway stairs onto the tanker, but he may have been. But there was also Kai Martin. I think Kai Martin might have been that guy that made the leap there. Glenn Foster, Mr. Adam Curley's back again with the world record-setting Aston Martin roll that we'll talk about in one moment. Lee Morrison on the tanker truck, and another Lee, Mr. Lee Milham, was involved with the driving sequences. Like I said, I could probably go another 10 or 15 minutes talking about the rest of the stunt team on the movie, but I think I just narrowed these guys down to just the driving team. So that was the primary hot shoe guys right there. But let's move on to the iconic bit of this movie, guys. The one that's in every trailer and every Bond clip show, because it was a world record. The cannon roll in the Aston Martin, and how this was ripped right out of the pages of Fleming too, guys. Like, that's what I love about this chase the most.
Yeah.
Is this is how it's described in the book. It's a little different.
Yeah, I think the way you see Daniel behind the wheel, the way he's lit, and you just see his steely blue eyes. He looks
such a good shot.
He looks amazing during that sequence, that little driving bit. Yeah.
And I'm glad you brought that up, Tom, because that's Daniel really won us all over with that movie, didn't he? Like, I'm sure being a Pierce fan like I am, like I was a little miffed, at one, how he was just kind of dismissed from the role. And then two, when I saw Daniel rock up on that boat on the Thames, I was not his number one fan. I was going, the villain from Road to Perdition is going to be Bond. This guy that looks like he should be a blonde-haired henchman, to the Bond villain is going to be Bond. Like, come on, man. But dude, those little moments like that. And to me, guys, the moment that made him Bond was a moment right after the stairwell fight when he is bloody all over. There's no dialogue whatsoever. There's no music or anything. It's just Daniel in the mirror. He pours himself 3 fingers of whiskey, takes it down, splashes some water on his face, and the look he gives himself in the mirror, like, you got to get your shit together because you are James Bond and you got to get back to that table. I go, you're Bond now, dude. You got me. That was cool. That was really good. So many moments like that throughout the movie where he wins us over, and you got to give it up to Daniel for just all these years being a phenomenal Bond.
Yeah,
for sure.
big time.
Without a doubt.
Yep. But anyway, the second chase, guys, like I said, I love this chase. It's the first one to fully match a Fleming chase from the novels. More specifically, the chapter titled Black Hare and Grey Hound. So if you're wondering if you want to read this in the Fleming book Casino Royale, flip ahead to Black Hare, Grey Hound. Although in the original, Bond was in his Bentley with the Amherst Villiers supercharger, chasing down a front-wheel drive Citroen, and it was spikes laid on the road that instigated the crash instead of Vesper herself, which is another one of the reasons the films really up the ante. Like, how much more amazing is it that it's Vesper laying in the road?
Yeah.
But I think we can all agree that the movie version was much better. It is a small chase, but punctuated by a world record-setting cannon roll that is an all-time classic stunt, with Mr. Adam Curley flipping the car 007 times, man. That is amazing. He was going the same road where they shot Batman coming back to the Batcave at Silverstone with Vicky Vale in 1989. That is the same spot where he flipped that car.
Is it really? I never knew that. That's awesome.
Yep. And it's same track as Thunderball as well. They just use the front straight from the same track, I believe. But yeah, it's just a phenomenal stunt. And the coolest part, guys, is that he didn't get it right at first. It was a wheel ramp at first, and they were going off this wheel ramp, and the car it was just so stable that it kept coming back down onto its wheels. So they go, let's go with the cannon roll. And a cannon roll, guys, ups the ante from a pipe ramp to an actual physical charge pushing the car over. It was invented by Hal Needham back in the 1970s for a John Wayne movie called McHugh. And he ended up injuring himself while the testing phase was going on. He almost broke every bone in his body. So when they had to shoot it on an Oregon beach, Gary McClarty was the guy that got tapped to do the world's first cannon roll. So if you ever want to see the world's first cannon, it's the movie called McHugh from 1974, and he does it on the beach. He rolls the car 3 or 4 times. But Adam came down at 80 miles per hour and blew that cannon, and he just flipped it a dream, man. You saw wheels flying off. It was carnage, and it's iconic.
Yeah, big time. That was a huge like feature moment, wasn't it? In like the promo and all that kind of stuff. And again, one of those things where you want to see Bond breaking records, setting world records, and doing stuff like that, don't you? That's one of the key things that keeps him at the at the pinnacle.
Absolutely, the gold standard of action films, right there.
And also with this particular one, it's interesting because he sets off in the car and you think, right, we've got a 10-minute car chase ahead of us, and it completely flips on its head what your expectations, because you think, right, they're going to be driving for ages, and then you see Vesper and then boom, and it hits you and you're like, it adds to this shock. Because if they'd had, say, a couple of minutes car chase and then it happened, you kind of already amped up for it. But and you kind of expect something like that, but you don't expect it to happen right at the start before the rest of a big chase potentially. So I think that was really, really clever the way they did that. And also I love the fact that I think they initially tested the wheel ramp with a BM, and it did flip the BM, and they thought, right, good, we'll try the Aston. But the Aston is such a good car that it righted itself because it's just so damn good and so well balanced. It just righted itself, and so let's stick the old cannon in there to get the flip on. Yeah,
You
fantastic.
got it, guys. You got it. So really quickly, I'll just break it down as a 2006 Aston Martin DBS, just like from Majesty's. 5.9 liter V12, 510 horsepower. Now we're getting into the skyrocketing horsepower measurements here, guys. Anybody want to take a shot at that license number?
It's TT.
Yep.
I know that. Numbers. What? Have you got any idea of the numbers, Tommy? It's
No,
definitely
man.
TT three numbers and then two
Hold on one
numbers, I
second.
think. I can't. It's TT.
There you go.
I've gone. It's definitely TT. I know that.
Yeah, no, it is TT38. Oh, I'm sorry, TT378-20. That is it. TT378-20. It's got a gun tray and a medical tray for the gadgets. Other than that, it's just Bond on his own, man. You got some horsepower, go get him, 007. You know what to do. He's chasing a 2005 Jaguar XKR with a 4.2 liter V8 and 390 horsepower, license plate GC 42386, and a 2005 Range Rover Series 3 with a supercharged V8, 390 horsepower, license plate number LT 32740. And that is it. That is Casino Royale.
Beautiful stuff. Give me that rating, Ross.
On this one, guys, the tanker chase is amazing. But yeah, like you said, the Aston Chase is very short, but doesn't take any of the quality away from me, you know, and it's both of them they're not just wasted chases. It's like it's integral to the plot that he must stop the bomber at the plane and he must get Vesper. So that's what I love, that the story is there. It's not just, hey, let's have an ice chase because it's about time for the ice chase. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I'll give it a solid 10 on 10. Honestly, I really enjoy those chases, and just for the reverse 180 in a tanker truck, come on, Lee, I love it.
What about you, Chris?
I think it's difficult in terms of weighing it up against other films. It's hard to get the comparisons. If we're looking at it as itself, I think a 9-10 is about right. If I'm looking at it in comparison to the other Bond chases, which are right up there, I'd probably put it as an 8-9, just for maybe length of time with the Aston, even though the crash is absolutely. I'll give it a 9. I think 9's solid. I think a 9.
Yeah, I appreciate the skill involved, but what I will say is I don't think that, flip aside, I don't think they're as like featured and memorable as a lot of the other chases. I don't hear these get talked about all that often, especially the airport one, bizarrely enough. Like, you know, the flip, obviously, yeah, that gets talked about, but like it's not a chase that really gets discussed as like rated up there with some of those others. Do you know what I mean? So I'm going to put it around about a 7.
Copy that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I can see that. That's nice. So there you go, guys. There's
Cool.
Casino.
Sweet.
Right, on to Quantum of Solace.
Yeah, talking about car chases. Now this is a car chase, isn't it? Give it to me, Ross.
Yeah.
What you got?
Dude, so, okay, now we have finally arrived at, I hope No Time to Die breaks this, but my favorite car chase of the series. It is that good.
It was all shot with rear projection, wasn't it, Ross? This one.
Yeah, all on stage. It was 100% CGI. No, it's just, you know, I know a lot of people, they get down on this one for the editing and how they made it almost too much like a Bourne Identity with the, you know,
Shaky
sort of
cams
kinetic,
and all that.
frenetic.
Yeah.
All that stuff. But just watching the driving and the stunt driving on display, dude, this chase, and what a way to start off the Bond movie. Like, I was out of breath in the theater when I saw this for the first time, for sure. So this chase is awesome. And again, it's the gunman in the black sedan, and I always love that, man. And some black sedans that actually could give pursuit to Bond, which is cool. But yeah, just it's frantic, which is good. It feels like you're on the edge of your seat, especially when his door comes off. Because then you're like, okay, Bond's always, when he's in an Aston, you expect him to be protected by the armor and the bulletproofing. But even if the car was bulletproof, which I don't think it was, I think they were cracking through the glass and stuff, he now is unprotected. They get up next to him on the left-hand side. Bond's dead, you know, so he has to stay in front of them. So it's a pucker. So the driving, the execution, the editing, it really puts you on the edge of your seat. It perfectly sets the tone that Quantum is going to be short, sweet, and action-packed because they had to be, because they didn't have a script. So,
Yeah, it's true. Very
Right?
much so. Yeah.
well, the writers just turned in the script and then they literally went outside. They collected their paycheck, went outside, and then got their little signs out and went, let's strike. So let's just fill it with action. And Daniel was on board for that. He was super game and for a lot of this stuff. But yeah, this is one of my favorite chases from the entire series, just because of how raw it is. It just feels raw, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Like just
Yeah,
how
big time.
dirty and he's got his suit on, but he gets grimed up in this, man. He's got glass flicking into his face and cutting his face all up. And after Vesper Pass, like Bond he's a different man. He's on a rampage right here. That's why I like unhinged Bond. I like Tim Dalton avenging Felix Leiter Bond. He's got this real animal edge to him. I really like that. But it's white knuckle all the way. Still giving you the 007 feel, i.e. the mountain roads, the Gunman Black Sedan, the Aston Martins, the great stunts. But Ben Collins, aka the Stig from Top Gear, he puts on a show here, as well as Martin Ivanov, who is a great stunt driver. He's out there today. Great guy, Martin, who doubles for Matt Damon on all the Jason Bourne films. There are many what we call Scandinavian flicks. So a Scandinavian flick, guys, is simply when you take the car and you load it up this way. The corner is actually turning this direction, like I want to be turning right. You'd load up the car and slide left and then whip the car back in the other direction and
Nice.
Slide out of it. And it was invented by a guy from Finland in rally racing to say, if you want to win, hire a Finn, because that's how those guys would drive to work, But they're doing that in this chase. It's really cool. And fun to watch. There are Scandinavian flicks and the 360 the 360 in front of the semi truck is trailer worthy, man. God, when he comes in front of that semi, they rip his door off and he does that 360 in the tunnel. God, I love that. I love that, man. It's another one of those stunts that's not talked about enough. Great driving, man.
Yeah.
To be staring down a semi while you're sliding sideways with no door. I mean, think about what that must have felt like. Great one. Also interesting is that in the behind the scenes, it looks like they wanted Bond to ski the DBS on two wheels for the climax of the chase. They wanted him to go on the other side of the digger and go on two wheels. But I'm glad they chose the more realistic option to cut it, because I think it was so realistic and so raw that had you had that kind of cheesy bit, it would have taken away a little bit for the chase. So I love it was much more Dr. No, like we mentioned earlier. It's that Dr. No tribute of big piece of construction equipment. And then one guy makes it, one guy doesn't, The best part is Daniel's face after he comes out the other way, and just the look that he's given back. I'm like, motherfucker, and he takes his machine gun and just blows him away. God, that's cool. Because you forget that this takes place 10 minutes after the ending of Casino Royale. And he's got that badass, what was it, like an H&K suppressed machine gun chilling in his car right next to him. He was just waiting for the prime shot, I
love the sound of the Alfa revving as it flies off the cliff as well. It sounds so good.
Yeah, it's great because it spins around like sideways, doesn't it? Yeah, that's it. That's a great moment. This chase is brilliant in the sense that it's just so frantic and white knuckle the whole time, isn't it? You almost feel like you're in that chase, don't you? It doesn't feel like you're sitting back and watching it. You feel like you're in it, and that is a brutal car chase.
Oh yeah, and I know that some stuntmen were injured on this stunt, but you feel the impact when Bond swerves into he's in the oncoming lane, and then he swerves back into the right lane, and that truck comes and boom, just blasts one of the Alphas. And you see Daniel, debris flying around his face, and you feel the impact of that hit. So, and just one of my favorite shots of the whole chase, just because the music, the trumpets kick in right at the right moment, is when the cop goes, Aston Martin being chased by an Alfa going southbound, and they come out of that dark tunnel, and we're actually doing, an opposing move, and when they rip by, and it's wah, 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 and they go by, oh my God, it just tingles my nuts, guys. I love that scene. I love it. Yes. So anyway, Dan Bradley took over as second unit director for this one, guys. That's why it looks so much like a Bourne movie, because the guy behind Bourne was lensing it. So he's like, give me those dirty, shaky, documentary style. We'll just catch something. It's the what is it? There's the knowing lens, and then there's like the discovering lens, and they were discovering things, and that's why it feels like it's happening in real time. But Gary Powell was the coordinator again. Mark Higgins drove the Alfa Romeos. He's going to come back into play in No Time to Die in a big way. Mark Higgins. Martin Ivanov got the tap to drive the DBS, so he got the big old slide in the tunnel and stuff, as well as Ben Collins, Derek Falco, Patrick Falco, Richard Hansen, and Jason Hunjan. They all got a chance to burn some rubber and crash some cars. He's in the 2008 Aston Martin DBS 5.9 liter V12 with 510 horsepower. And does anyone know the license number on that Aston?
I don't.
No, go on this one.
It is 72 GH3LD. And he's being pursued by one of the coolest villain cars I've ever seen. Look at the front end of those cars and tell me that's not a villain car, man. Just they look mean coming down that tunnel. I love the first few seconds of after you fly into that tunnel and you're just seeing flashes of like the side of the Aston, and then you see a flash of the guys and they're loading up their guns, and like, God, man, I want to watch this right now. I want to put this on with you guys. But there's two 2008 Alfa Romeo 159s, and they have an inline 4 with 138 horsepower. License numbers are 16 SA8 PT and 21 RJ6 LT. And then the unfortunate cop, again, doesn't have a good day. When you're chasing Bond and you're a cop, you better pucker up, because it's a 2007 Land Rover Defender, Defender 90. It's turbocharged inline 4 diesel with 121 horsepower. The license number was CC217AE. And like I said, he doesn't have a good day. He hits a little stone shack and he just goes right off the cliff. So yeah, poor guy. He was just trying to earn a paycheck. But what a cool chase, guys. It was so cool.
Beautifully done. It must be said, I wish the camera work wasn't quite as choppy as it is, because there are moments where you just, I remember when I first saw it, it's a struggle to sort of like focus in on what's happening on some of those shots because they're so rapid. But I don't think it damages it that much. I would have just liked to have seen a little bit more, them chill out a bit more in editing that, But man, what a frantic car chase! That's got to be a top.
Yeah, and
5,
also I really
maybe?
wish, I'm sure you guys agree with me, I really wish they would have put the gun barrel back on the beginning of the movie.
Oh,
too.
totally.
There was no reason not to have
That was an
There's no
absolutely
reason.
perfect moment. Get the gun barrel into the
flying
zoom
off
in
the water.
over the lake. Yeah, that would have been perfect.
Yeah, the white dot opens
Yeah.
up and then we're just cruising over the lake.
Yeah.
Come on, guys. That would have been awesome. So I don't know why they didn't do that. And yeah, just one more quick thing before we move on. I know we are pressed for time here, but there is a funny story. It's funny just because the guy lived, okay? If he did not live, this would be tragic. But the guy, I don't know what his name is, who will remain nameless. It was his job to deliver one of the Aston Martins to the location on Lake Garda. And he'd be doing what any of us would be doing is you're driving an Aston Martin along Lake Garda. That's going to be James Bond's car. You put on the Bond theme, right? So he's cranking the Bond theme. He's blasting. He's having a great time. The road was a little wet because it had rained the night before. Didn't know what he was doing. And he didn't have a cool story like the guy from Spy where he showed up and got to drive the whole time, because he slipped off the road. He understeered, went through the guardrail, ended up in the drink, and he sunk with the car all the way to the bottom of the lake. It knocked him out. And then he woke up on the bottom of the lake in a little air pocket in the Aston. It's all smashed. Oh my God. And he swam out and he lived.
Damn.
And they got footage of them pulling an Aston out of the lake, and it's crushed like a pancake just from the pressure of the water.
That's crazy. That what a lucky escape that was, man. That's crazy.
Yeah. Well, it's like the story of in a lesser note of Terrence Young on For Your, or I'm sorry, on
From Russia with Love. Yeah,
From Russia with Love. Yeah, the helicopter crash. Thank you. The helicopter crash into the lake there, and how he just they crash. He gets out. He drives himself off, and we got to get shooting. But God, I mean, how embarrassed would you be as that guy? He's like, he crashed Bond's car into the lake.
Damn.
So, pretty cool. Pretty funny. So anyway, shall we move on to Skyfall?
What about rating?
You got to rate it.
Oh,
though,
rating.
Ross.
Yes. Well, you know mine.
It's going to be a
10
10
out
out of 10, isn't it? Yeah. I've got to give that chase a 10 out of 10 as well. I think that's a top tier Bond car chase, that one for me.
I'm the same. I would like to see the same chase edited different, just to see what feel it would be if it was not quite as a quick cut. Because I think most of the edits are like under half a second.
Yeah.
So you're looking at 14 frames or whatever it might be, which is pretty quick. So it would be interesting to see a slight difference. But just for pure getting your energy up and your just psyching you up, it's got to be one of the best chases out there, I think.
Yeah, for sure.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely.
100%.
Yep. Cool.
All right, then. Cool. On to Skyfall, penultimate Bond film. How do we feel about this one?
Oh, man. I mean, I think that... oh God, why am I brain farting now, guys? Again, getting old. Sometimes, getting old, you just have a thought and then it just vanishes and you're just in this Zen place, right?
It affects all of us, man.
Thank you. Sam Mendes. I think Sam Mendes said it best when he said that the pre-title sequence to Skyfall, which is right up there with The Living Daylights for me, guys, is like a Russian doll that just keeps opening and opening and opening to more and more goodies.
Mm-hmm.
And I love it. I love it. And it opens with this chase that we can just briefly talk about because, it's not the biggest, most elaborate chase in the series, but it is a good one. It's a cracker here, man. It's I love it. It's one of the all-time greats. It keeps ramping up with Moneypenny, who is doubled by Mark Higgins, by the way, does a great job of keeping that old defender hot on the heels of Bond as he relentlessly pursues Patrice. Great stunt driving on and great stunt riding on show with the motorcycles for sure. Indy, I know. Indy, hey, come on now. Sorry about that, guys. You can edit all that out, right?
Yeah.
Oh dear God. Give me 1 second here, guys.
Sure, you do your thing.
Yeah.
Are we editing this bit out then?
All right. I just put him in the other room real quick.
No worries, man.
Indy. He's defending the den. I'm proud of him. He's defending the den. Anyway, okay. So go back into it here.
Yeah, go for it, man.
Yeah, it's just Moneypenny is actually Mark Higgins. Mark Higgins doubles for him, does a great job keeping that old defender hot on the heels of Bond as he relentlessly pursues Patrice. Great stunt driving and stunt riding on show. The music is excellent and adds an ominous tone to the pre-title, suggesting a bit of impending doom. Very well done on all fronts here. Yeah. What really struck me, guys, when I first watched this chase, and I include the whole thing as a chase, because Moneypenny's in the defender in pursuit of, when they go to the bikes, when they go to the train, she's still in hot pursuit. And by the way, Naomi Harris, I really like Naomi Harris, man. And like you guys were saying, like her interviews, like outside of Bond, she is so charming and so
Absolutely.
lovely.
She is lovely. She's a great ambassador for Bond as well, I think.
Oh my God.
Definitely.
Yeah. Not enough is said about that one. She is in my cool book, like big time. But anyway, she's in pursuit. And so, it's really interesting to see it unfold from her perspective, right? Because now she's the rookie. She's going, God, what is going on? I'm, riding with Bond here. But it's really fun to see her set the tone right off the bat of when she's like rips off and it's okay, you weren't using that rear view mirror. And then she's like, oh yeah, weren't using that one either. Like, look, I know what I'm doing,
Yeah.
And that's really cool to show her precision with the vehicle. But yeah, the Defender's just a cool looking truck. I really like the look of that silver Defender. Just iconic British vehicle, and it's, putting foot to ass for Great Britain out there with some secret agents is just really cool to see. Chasing that Audi down, kind of a cool but sort of strange looking stunt, how they sort of pipe ramp the Audi and then it slides on its side. But I know that I've seen behind the scenes takes of it where it went fully to its roof and they didn't want that for some reason. So I don't know what the choice was to keep it on its side and have it flop back down, but that was a conscious choice. The shootout is frantic. But yeah, what I was getting at is what I noticed on my first viewing of this, guys, was from the score, is when they get on the top of the train and they're going like through the tunnels, and it cuts to a wide shot of the defender jumping through a field, and I heard this bell go off, this bell tolling on the score, dong, dong, and it just was like, oh man, like that just suddenly filled me with this like dread, like, oh man, is Bond gonna die? Like, what's going on here? And sure enough, it that's how it went down. Is, you know, spoiler alert for all those who haven't seen Skyfall, but Bond gets tagged, right? And he falls off. A fall that would definitely kill him down off that. I mean, let's, you know, come on, he's not going to survive that.
Yeah.
But he's Bond, so come on, Dad, he's Bond. Don't think too much into it, right? But
exactly.
But yeah, it just I remember thinking that, like, this is getting real here, you know. And again, it provides us with a an iconic Daniel moment of the straightening of the tie, because, you know, he brought the brutality to Bond of, like, he's the Bond that could actually kill you, like he's like an ex-SAS operative with an expensive watch, you know, but he's gonna kill your ass. He's gonna come after you. But I love that this was the first film to bring it back to the fantasy element in a way of that straightening of the tie, and that's the shooting of the cuff.
Yeah.
After he jumps down and shoots the cuff, like that's Bond. That is Bond right there. And so I love that. The bike riding is just impressive. Very impressive, going over the rooftops of the Grand Bazaar. Like, again, only in a Bond film they let you get away with something like that. Like, to get the okay for something like that just astounds me. But again, that comes down to the teamwork of this amazing stunt team, guys. Alexander Witt, yet again, as second unit director, Gary Powell as coordinator, Mark Higgins as the Moneypenny double, Ben Cook as the Bond double, Andy Lister as another Bond double, Ben Collins drove the Audi, Robbie Madison was the professional bike rider that doubled Bond, and Jean-Pierre Goy back again, doubling Patrice. Nice. So our man from Amsterdam that drove that, you know, the big jump in Tomorrow Never Dies, there he is again, doubling Patrice. And how cool is that when he smashes back through the window and comes back down into the Grand Bazaar? Like,
that's a big drop as well.
Yeah,
nice.
Big old drop. But you got a 2007 Land Rover Defender 110 crew cab. It had a turbocharged inline 4 with 121 horsepower, and the license number was crickets. I know. I would be doing the same thing. Trust me. I don't know why I did this, guys. But it's just to torture you all. 34 AR 1597. And the Audi, the 2007 Audi A5 B8, was a turbocharged inline 4 with 208 horsepower, and its license number was 34UE 641. And then the Hondas they were on, the motorcycles were Honda CRFs. They were the 250R bikes, and they were both converted. One looked like a cop bike, I believe, and the other one was just like a market bike. But they were hot rods in disguise. That's how they always do it. So there you go, guys. Very quick and lovely chase in that movie. And I just think it was, again, one of the best pre-title sequences in the whole series. It could really be in top 5 pre-title sequences for me. Nice. And
I'm going to go out on a limb here, Ross, and wonder if you're going to give it a 10 or not.
Well, no, I'm not, because it's the car aspect, because I'm very much like Jeremy Clarkson on on Top Gears. I don't really like motorcycles that much, and this is mostly a motorcycle propelled chase, and bikes are cool, but I'm not really a bike guy, so I like cars. So the car portion is very minimal, if you don't count Moneypenny trailing them the whole time. So I'd give it a solid 7 on 10.
I was going to match that as well, actually. A 7. Yeah, solid 7 for me.
I think for me, I'd go 1 under on that. I'll probably give it a 6. Just I think there are 1 or 2 others a little bit more memorable for me, but entertaining nonetheless. Definitely.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. It goes without saying. It's still fun. We're still in Bond territory. So there you go, guys.
Nicely done. That's Skyfall in the bag. So, Spectre time. Now, I imagine this one is going to be a little bit, there's going to be some controversy, is the wrong word, but I feel like there's going to be a little bit of back and forth on this one, I reckon. What do you think?
This is a polarizing one, isn't it?
Yeah.
You know, and you're sitting here going, man, like, you know, you have the whole winning combination of, like, Sam Mendes and, like, you know, everybody from Skyfall that made Skyfall great. And why am I bored watching a car chase? I'm sitting here like snoring. Why? Because it was not frantic. It didn't have
It's
that
true.
danger level like Quantum of Solace did, like For Your Eyes Only did, like when Bond is vulnerable, right? But hey, you know, we love to see him back in a gadget car, right? So I will give it props for having a gadget car at Aston Martin be gadget laden yet again. But yeah, there's just something about it. It's just hot and cold for me, guys. It's hot and cold for me. Like at once, I love the stunt driving. I absolutely adore the location. I think the location was perfect for that creepy setting of the movie. You know what I mean? Like it just Rome has this creepy factor to it. So it was great. I love the look of the cars. I love the locations. I love the stunt driving. But as this chase, it's full of drifting. Right, it's got more drifting than the whole series, and I love to see drifting, especially in front of the freaking Vatican.
That's
like
so
you know,
good.
who's going to get to drift in front of the Vatican besides James Bond? You know, it's great. But in what you know, what I don't like though, guys, and again, I've said this before, is that the score is a big part to me. Is I don't like how lazy Thomas Newman was with the score here. He reused a lot of the same musical cues from the pre-title sequence of Skyfall. If you watch the pre-titles of Skyfall and you watch this car chase back to back, he reused the same musical beats.
I also think the bit he reused was really not that inspiring either. It wasn't like it was an amazing piece of music. It's like what that sounds like to me is like, you know, if you're sitting down at the keyboard and you're like, right, let's dial up the orchestral strings, and you go dun, 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 dun. Yeah, that'll do. And do you know what I mean? It's like, it's literally, it's that to me. It's like, there's nothing, it just seems so basic to me that it's like, why did you reuse that bit? Was it strong enough to be like, hey, let's bring that back because that was a special moment? Right. Not at all. So yeah, no. I feel bad to say, was it just laziness? But I can't find another answer to that, because that particular phrase is just such a non-entity that it's not like if you were John Barry and you'd written "You Only Live Twice" on the strings there, and you'd be like, you know what, that's so good, I'm going to just touch on that a little bit in the next one. You'd forgive him for that, wouldn't you? Because it's that brilliant. But that to me is just, you know.
Right. And I just think it's uninspired, I think is a better term. It's just uninspired on that one. And so, yeah, I just think, you know, David Arnold, every single time he did a new Bond movie, he did a new Bond score. And yes, every composer has their own fingerprints that they'll put on something. Like you can just hear something and go, oh, that's John Williams, or, you know, oh, that's Danny Elfman. They have their fingerprints that they'll put onto a movie, but he would make a conscious effort to make each one sound like their distinct own movie. Like, tell me Casino Royale isn't a complete full-on rehash score. You know what I mean? He completely re-engineered the wheel on that one. It didn't sound like any of the Brosnan movies, but it was the same composer. Yeah. And so I just feel like Thomas Newman didn't do that. And yes, I know it's a direct sequel, and I know this was supposed to, you know, be a companion piece with Skyfall, but don't reuse the same musical cues, man. Like,
it's a strange decision, isn't it?
Yeah. So that really took me out. Also, this suffers from a bit of the easy mode sort of vibe that plagues the third act of Spectre, in that it doesn't really ever feel like Bond is in jeopardy. Like, you know how he's in Blofeld's lair and he's just kind of walking out and headshotting everyone and just, you know, I'll just walk right on out.
It's very video gamey, that sequence. I remember thinking it at the time. It looks like it's, I don't know, Call of Duty or whatever it is the kids play these days. Even the way they shot it, and like the little sort of stick men in the distance that he's shooting at and stuff. You know what I mean? It's
and so it's, you know, it's a far cry from the chases of Craig's first three films, in which they looked very dangerous and had us on the edge of our seats. This one's just a bit of a snooze fest. It looks more like a car ad than a good solid chase. But, you know, that being said, we still have a Bond movie. We still have, you know, we all were geeking out when he finally, okay, Q, let's see what you got. Hits the flamethrower. Awesome. And he does the ejector seat, and then he comes down, and that's the moment to straighten the ties. Hey, good evening. He shoots the cuff and walks. Really cool.
Beautiful way to end that chase, for sure. 100%. What do you say to the argument that it's there's stuff happening in this chase that moves the plot forward, in the sense he's on the blower to Moneypenny, hey, go and look up this dude and blah blah blah, and there's a back and forth. He's on the phone to
I don't like it. I don't like it. I don't like how he was on the phone with Moneypenny, because then you see a little apartment in London and nothing's going on. And whenever you cut out of the sequence, like I don't like chase scenes that are cut in the middle to some other scene where there's like dialogue or something, and then you return to the chase. I like how Bond movies stick with the chase. Like we are there. You know, we never cut away from the chase until the chase is over.
It's a very good point, actually. Cutting away from it to a still sleepy apartment room.
It makes us sleepy.
See, maybe what should have happened is straight chase, ejector seat, glides down, gets rid of the parachute, walks along the river, phone out, then he gives Moneypenny a call or something. I don't know, but you know.
See this? Sign Tom up. He should direct the next.
I agree. I think I should. It will be a complete fucking disaster, but I'll have a
go. One thing that you got to say about this car chase, though, the two cars involved are absolute bangers. Like they're so solid, beasts of a car.
Absolutely,
particularly Hinks's like Jag is. They had to detune it, didn't they? Because it was so powerful.
They did, because it was a hybrid car, so that's where it has gas and electric in-hub motors that make it like a rocket ship. So yeah, absolutely right. It was a 2014 Jaguar CX-75, had a 1.6 liter, which is kind of small, hybrid V4, but that V4 turned out 502 horsepower, plus electric motors making 194 horsepower each. So do the math on that one. Yeah. So yeah, the real engine though, that's the car that, because this was a prototype. Keep in mind, and again, movie magic, guys. This wasn't the actual power plant for the car. The real power plant was a 5-liter V8 with 600 horsepower. Anybody want to take a crack at that license number on that orange CX?
I might be all right on the next one, but not on this one.
Yeah, it is Roma, ROMA 860K. And chasing, probably honestly one of the sharpest Aston Martins ever. And I love that they built it bespoke for the movie. We got to give them props for that they went into Aston Martin, they said, make me a car for, I mean, that coming from the days of we have to buy 2 Aston Martins for Goldfinger to, hey, car company, design and build a car specifically for us. Like that's baller level, guys. Yeah, okay, that does not happen besides with Bond. The 2015 Aston Martin DB10. What a car. Looked like a shark on the road. A 4.7 liter V8, 430 horsepower, license plate number.
You've said half of it already.
You got it. DB10. And what's the other 3 letters?
Do you know, Tommy?
I don't actually, not off the top of my head.
Is it AGB?
AGB.
Nice. Agent Great Britain.
There you go. Fully bulletproof, aft firing guns, which were not loaded as a gag, aft firing flamethrowers, driver's ejector seat with parachute. And what was the song that was queued up in the car? It was like dun, 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 New York, New York, New York, right. 009 is terrible musical taste. But yeah, I mean, super cool. Again, you got the Jag as the villain car, 2 supercars, you know, blasting through the streets of a foreign city at night. But again, guys, I've never been to Rome. I don't know if you guys have been, but I sit here and I go, does Rome ever get that like unpopulated that they could actually drive that fast at night? I imagine Rome to be like New York, where you'd never have those empty of streets, you know, so that was a little weird as well. There should have been a little more traffic, don't you think?
Yeah, I think they had to clear that just to get the drifting involved.
Yeah.
I do. Yeah. One thing I will say about this chase is I mean, there's quite a cool bit where he jumps down the stairs and goes down. That's good. But when they're next to the river and they go up on the bank, like the old school racetracks from back in the day, like Brooklands and stuff, when they're on the side bank, I really enjoy that. I think that's like super cool. And they're like glued to the wall. Yeah. And that's and like the flamethrower and everything is really cool as well. So,
well, as you guys know, just to toot my own horn here, I get to do that coming up pretty soon. Working for that job for Omaze, I get to drive a 69 GTO Judge on the LA River and driving on the walls like that. Nice. So you know I'm going to be thinking about Spectre while I'm doing that for sure.
Looking for the flamethrower button.
Yeah, that's right. Come on, Q. So. There is a second chase, if you guys recall. That is with the airplane and the Land Rover Defenders up in the mountains. Now, the driving and special effects are all on point here, but again, there's just something a bit off about this chase. And again, guys, I actually had a conversation with Gary Powell on this one. This is kind of a cool story. It's kind of an inside story here. He said that the original idea was to have an urban ski chase with Bond pursuing the cars on skis through a town. So as the trucks went through the town, he was going down staircases and off of rooftops and off their roofs and stuff. And it was all going to be very cool. On Her Majesty's Secret Service. Yeah. And poor Daniel broke his leg on the movie. And so he said, sorry guys, ski chase is out. I can't do it. Even if I'm pulling a Pierce and crouching down on a sled behind a snowmobile, I can't do it. So they ended up improvising the plane sequence, which is what we got. And unfortunately, it just kind of falls a little flat for me. Again, I just found myself in the theater kind of like, you know, when's this going to be over? But it's one of those things. It's like it took a village. It took a lot of planning, you know, to properly execute this. And I really appreciate the stunt team and the special effects team and the second unit for putting this chase on for us. So I just, you know, I can't knock it because it's still an amazing chase they put together.
Yeah, do you know what? We're in need of a real high level Bond ski chase. We haven't had one in a long time, and that would have been perfect. And I feel like, man, you could have pulled that off. You put some super big goggles on him, big woolly hat. You'd never know the fucking difference. You know,
absolutely.
Bit of rear projection for just to keep you happy, Ross, and then you'd have been sorted.
Well, this is the best part, though, guys. This is the silver lining. Is that when I told Gary, I said, because I was watching some kind of urban skiing it was Red Bull urban skiing on TV, and that's when I told him about that. Like, this needs to be in a Bond film. And he said it was supposed to be in Spectre, and that's where he spun me the whole yarn about it. But he told me, I go, well, keep it in your back pocket for future Bond installments. And you know what he told me? He just texted me one small word. He said, "Deaf." Like, definitely. Nice. So they got that one in their back pocket, and they've done that before, where they had a sequence for one movie that they ran out of budget or time and put it into a further future installment. So we may still see the urban ski chase, hopefully.
Oh, let's hope so.
Future installment of Bond. Anyway, guys, I don't know, maybe it's the color palette or the music, but I really can't put my finger on it. But it's just a bit bland on this the ski chase here, or the plane chase here. But had a 2014 Land Rover Defender called the Bigfoot, and that was turbocharged inline four with 185 horsepower. We'll just skip the license plate numbers. And a beautiful 2015 Range Rover Sport SVR. That was what Hinks was driving. That was a bad truck right there. But a 5-liter supercharged V8 with 550 horsepower. What a beast. And I think those are going to be making a triumphant return in No Time to Die as well. Those are sick vehicles right there. Nice. There you go, guys. That's Spectre done and dusted for you guys. So there you have it.
Well, there we have it, man. That was quite a mammoth undertaking getting through all those car chases in part 1 and obviously part 2. But we got there. We did it.
We've got to do the rating though, haven't we?
Yeah, we do. So what is your rating for Spectre then?
Unfortunately, Spectre's a little low for me, guys. I'm going to have to give it a 3 on 10. It's not very high at all. The stunt driving was great, but man, I fall asleep every time. It's not an exciting chase.
All right, fair play.
I'm not too different. Particularly the plane sequence I'm not overly keen on, but especially now that I know that we could have had like an urban ski thing or something, because I did hear rumors that initially they were going to have like a snowmobile chase, and there were some storyboards for a snowmobile chase, and that would have been absolutely epic.
Dude, there you go.
But the car chase, I understand that they tried to do something different, because I know there are people out there that love the Spectre car chase and they really dig it. Obviously the cars are amazing, the drifting is really cool, but it's kind of played for laughs a little bit, you know, with the guy with the Fiat that ends up crashing with the airbag and stuff like that. And then it only kind of really gets going right towards the end of it when it gets to the river. But I do quite like portions of that, but yeah, the snow one not. So I'll tuck it up a notch, maybe to a 4 out of 10 for me.
All right, nice.
And what about you,
You
Tommy?
guys are harsh on Spectre. Good Lord. I will concede that the neither of those sequences are going to be up there with the best of them. Do you know what I mean? It's not like which one was it we said? Like A View to a Kill, where you have that great sequence with the car, but it's let down by the fire truck. It's kind of like both of them are kind of middle of the road type things, the plane sequence and the car chase. So I'd give it like a 6, I would say, for those two.
Oh, nice. And honestly, there still have those moments. Like, I love the moment where Bond jumps and shears the roof off of one of those parked cars. And then comes down.
That's brilliant. I've been to that location and did a little search and found the bit where the car drops off. It's so good.
Yeah. And just little bits like where Bond comes around a corner, perfect drift. And then the Jag comes around the corner and takes out all the Vespas. That's cool too. So there's always those moments in the river. And
right,
so
I'm taking it up to a 5 now.
Okay, I am too. I'm gonna go up to a 4. But before we go, I just definitely want to make sure that I get this in. The stunt team. Let's highlight these guys. Let's applaud them, because without them, let's face it, there's no stunts in the Bond movies. There's just dialogue. Would we really want to go see them? I wouldn't. So Alexander Witt coming through again with that second unit direction. Guess who moves up to coordinator on this one, guys? Lee Morrison. So Lee Morrison stepped up. Neil Layton. Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, geez. I'm doing the wrong one here, guys. Good God. That is not correct. I'm reading the next movie. No, Alexander Witt was second unit director. It was Gary Powell that was a coordinator. I'm sorry about that, Gary. Andy Lister was the Bond double for the Palace jump. So that really cool part you were talking about, Chris, where he jumps out of the balcony and lands down below. That was Andy Lister. And then Martin Ivanov comes back in the Jag, and our man Mark Higgins is back in the DB10, and so he's the pro drifter in there getting it done.
Nice.
So that's the stunt team, guys. Yeah, so they're just, the stunt people are salt of the earth people, and they just, they're so much fun to be around. And if you can never get, stories out of them, they always begin with, so there I was, and it's just fun to be around those guys. And they're such brave and men and women across all different, races, creeds, countries. Everybody comes from all different walks of life, and they're just, I love them all. And they just, it makes me really proud to say that I also work, alongside with them and in the same areas, and they're an inspiration to me, but also they're my colleagues. And so so when we get together for the stunt prom, we call it, it's called the Taurus Awards, from time to time. It's just fun to be all together and just to applaud each other in what they do. Cause you've heard the whole thing about the unknown stuntman, like Lee Major says. We're not really going for awards or anything like that. Cash is usually our main reward. But it's just nice to be recognized in what we do. And just, I don't know of any other department like makeup or camera or anyone else that when they go into work that day, they go, I might die. I might not come back.
I don't know. Makeup's pretty hairy sometimes.
It is. Oh, I saw what you did there. Yeah, that's the hair department. But yeah, no, it's so yeah. You just got to applaud those guys, and it doesn't go unnoticed, the work that they do, and even the little things. I'm sure you've felt the correlation through all our discussions here, guys, that we picked out the little bits that don't get applauded as much. But it doesn't go unseen. There's people out there that's really making them happy. So keep doing what you're doing. And all the British stunt guys out there too, you guys are just, your tip of the sword with the Bond movies. And it's really cool to see you doing what you do.
Beautiful stuff, man.
What a lovely tribute.
Yeah.
Now we're going absolutely No Time to Die spoiler free. So
yes.
No talking about anything you might know about the next one, because both of us are going, Chris more so than me.
This is what I'm doing.
Chris, exactly. Chris is, for those not watching, he's just disappeared.
Going undercover.
But yeah, I've wiped my mind of all the trailers and everything as much as I can, and I'm going to try and go in as cold as I can.
Yes.
So, but you did want to give a shout out to the stunt team on No Time to Die, didn't you? So
yes, sir. I kind of jumped the gun on this one a little bit. Sorry.
No worries, you were too keen.
Yeah, he probably doesn't care. But yes, I'd love to pay tribute to the stunt team and to the special effects supervisor, who you will recognize this name. He is awesome. But Alexander Witt comes back again for second unit director. This time in No Time to Die, Lee Morrison, the guy that did that reverse 180 in the tanker, steps up as coordinator. We have Neil Layton was the action vehicle coordinator. He's the guy that gets all those cool cars, the Range Rovers and the Astons and all that all coordinated together. Mark Higgins comes back to do some drifting in that DB5. Ben Collins is in there to drive the Vantage. Martin Ivanov and Jess Hawkins got to do some amazing things in some Range Rovers. And this guy's really cool name, Paul Fast Eddie Edmondson. He got to do some really cool riding on a Triumph motorcycle.
Nice.
But that being said, guys, I have to give my final tribute here to a Mr. Chris Corbold. Okay, because you've heard us say through all these chases that what goes along just like peas and carrots with a good car chase is some good old explosions and some special effects. And the guy that's been doing that for 15 Bond movies, that's all just amazing to me. He's pushing up on the Desmond Llewellyn record here, is Chris Corbold. And he is the special effects supervisor. He's done every one of them since The Spy Who Loved Me, with the exception of Octopussy, unfortunately, there, Chris. But he set up all the engines, the drivetrains, the gadgets, and the general things that go boom in and around the Bond cars for over 40 years. So this guy, I just gotta, my hat is off to Chris Corbold, man. Like, and he's done extracurricular things too outside of Bond. He's made like the tribute Goldfinger Bond cars for the general public, and he set those cars up. So that guy's a busy dude. And he did all the Christopher Nolan Batman movies. Like, he created the Tumbler, the Bat Pod. Like, this guy's a wizard guy. He is the real Q.
Yeah,
for
big
sure.
time. Nice. Well, what a lovely tribute. It just made me laugh there, because when you started reeling off stuff about No Time to Die, Chris panicked and took his earphones out, and he was just sitting there like,
that's all right.
I try to keep it spoiler free. I know there's little snippets in there, but let's just say, all we'll say about it is, let's all hope, as we always do when we see that little white dot going across the screen, that this Bond movie has the best chases in the whole series, because it very well might.
Damn right. Absolutely.
Well, I'm looking forward to that, if that's the case.
Yeah.
Definitely.
And maybe we can get together again and talk about that after the movie comes out. I'd love to talk with you guys.
That'd be cool.
Absolutely. Yeah. Good stuff. All right then, Russ. Well, thank you for joining us, man. I have to salute the depths of your detailed geekery, man. What a beautiful thing to have gone through and catalogued all of these things, and to have such a deep passion for it, obviously, which comes out whenever you talk about it. So, yeah, man. JBR salutes you, my good man.
Thank you, guys. I really appreciate it. I know it's a little long-winded and stuff, but you know, I really appreciate you having me on the show, and I hope that there's some Bond fan out there driving to work like I was several times, you know, in traffic, listening to this, going, "Oh man, yeah," and just really digging what we're talking about, because we really love your guys' show, and we love what you guys do, and it all just keeps our Bond fandom growing, and that's what's so cool about this. So thank you very much, guys.
Thank you very much, man.
That's kind words, man.
And hopefully by the time this goes out, you'll have got JW out on the track and showing them how to do some wheelies and some donuts and some other
Can't wait to hear
stunts,
about
no
that.
doubt.
That's so good.
Yeah, so that's tomorrow.
Okay,
yeah, so let's
sweet.
all pour one out for JW and hope that he handles himself well and can become one with his machine.
Brings a spare pair of underwear just in case.
Yep.
I'm sure you'll just raise an
JW.
eyebrow and coast straight on through.
You got it.
All right then, Ross. Thanks for joining us, man. We will see you again soon, no doubt.
Awesome. Thank you, guys.
Excellent. It's been an absolute pleasure, Ross. Cheers for coming
right.
on.
Take it easy, man.
Cheers, Chris.
Have a
Thanks,
good
buddy.
one.
Bye.
All right, you too.
Bye.
How cool was that, man? That dude's enthusiasm and his meticulous cataloging of everything definitely has to be saluted, doesn't it? Like,
100%.
I feel like that. I mean, that was a good few hours we sat there talking about that. Obviously, over the 2 episodes as well.
Yeah.
I feel if you let him, he would still be talking about that this time tomorrow. You know what I mean? You just let him roll, and he would still be going. So that's a wonderful thing. What it's a nice way to catalogue all of those things, and I love the little shout out to all the stunt performers at the end.
Yeah,
it was a lovely
definitely,
touch.
yeah, because they do often get overlooked, and not only that, but some of the lesser known stunts get overlooked. Like, there can still be some which are hardcore, but if it's not, jumping off a crane, people might not think about it.
Like
So
the
that's
dude on
good.
the bridge in Goldeneye doing the
This is
little
it.
fall into the river. Yeah. I'm going to look out for him next time.
Yeah.
You know what? I'm going to just make a little moment for him and just be like, there he is. I'm going to acknowledge him for jumping off the bridge there.
Yeah. But I did find quite a few things interesting. Obviously, the car chases that went through, I think pretty much we were on board with most of the stuff that he was saying in terms of our rating system. Maybe, 1 or 2 out here and there. interesting that Tomorrow Never Dies is his favourite Bond film. Obviously, you mentioned that earlier, and that is solid. But I know some people, it's not everyone's cup of tea. But one thing you have to say about Tomorrow Never Dies is it is action packed. It's got a lot of good action, and that car chase in the Brent Cross Shopping Centre is brilliant.
That's a banger.
Yeah.
Yeah, nice one. Well, Ross, we salute you, my good man, and I do hope that as he hopes that No Time to Die will be, some of the best car chases or car chase in the series. We can only hope, but we'll find out next week.
And the JW has a lot of fun as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm so jealous of that. Imagine if all four of us were there. That would have been so good.
That would be cool, wouldn't it? Yeah, man. So we'll stick up as soon as we get JW's footage. We will stick that up on the socials and on the website page for this episode, so you can see the action JW gets up to, and we'll probably stick it up on YouTube as well. So that will be something to look out for. So, all right, here we go. Signing off for the last time before we see a brand new Bond film. I'm excited. How are you?
I'm buzzing, man. Oh, okay, I said I was a little bit above calm. I'm getting more exciting with every passing second now.
Nice one. Yeah. All right then, bro. Well, JBR will return not next Friday, but not this coming Monday, the Monday after that, basically. What date is that? Let me have a look. I'm getting confused.
It will be so Thursday the 30th, isn't it? So
the 4th, Monday, the 4th of October will be No Time to Die month kickoff at JBR. So we'll go deep on all things No Time to Die. Until then, I've been Tom Sears.
I've been Chris Wright.
And JBR will return on Monday, October 4th for No Time to Die month. We'll see you then, everybody.
Take care, everyone. Bye.
Hope you enjoyed the show. Good night.